LCD Soundsystem starts Bennington today. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington. Big reason we started with that show, that song, that I forgot how much I loved. Gail Bennington at the big show last night.
I went to go see LCD Soundsystem at Brooklyn Steel, which is like a brand new venue.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it just they just opened it up. It's like a giant warehouse space, and LCD Soundsystem is their first show that they're playing there.
Hometown boys.
Yes. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was fucking bananas. Like, I was excited to see them, and I got hooked up with a ticket from Tom Sharpling, so that's a cool thing when you know cool people.
Mr. Insider.
Yes. So I was like, yes, I do want to attend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a lot of connections. So I was already just really pumped because I'd never seen them, and, you know, I've been a fan of theirs for so long, and it was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, ape shit, everybody dancing, going absolutely wild. But the thing that I thought was most interesting is at the top of the show, he was like, I'm not going to be a dick about it, but, like, don't have your cell phones out.
Yeah.
For lots of reasons. One, nobody wants to see your phone. Just be in the moment, just have fun, just dance. But also, like, a little later in the show, we're going to play like 3 or 4 new songs. So just, like, don't do it. And from the moment he said it, I would say it was like a 99% success rate. I've never seen, because I'm in the balcony looking down, and I was like, I can't remember the last time I saw a crowd of people without glowing phones. And then every once in a while during a song, someone would get tempted, and he would just call them out. He's just like, I see what you're doing. Don't do it. Like, he'd just stop. He wouldn't stop the music, but he would just say it in the middle of the song, and then they would put it down really quick. But it was awesome. It was like, it really made everyone...
It was like a rock and roll show rather than this weird paparazzi thing that it's turned into. But it's odd that you have to tell people how to act, but maybe that's the smartest thing. Like, don't get mad. Just like, look, this is how to enjoy this.
But I also get the temptation, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, visually it's gorgeous, and the lights are going and the giant disco ball, and you're like, oh, I just want to keep looking at this. And I get the instinct to do it, but because everyone kind of let that go, and kind of kept getting pointed out, like, by the teacher, and like feeling embarrassed. And I also saw people tap people, like, come on, guy. Like, even people in the audience were going, hey, listen, he said, let's not do that.
But, you know, it's almost like if you're at a nice restaurant and you have to say, no, this isn't something that ketchup goes on. You know what I mean? Like, let me help you a little bit. Because you're not, I know that you like ketchup. But it's not, it doesn't add to this meal.
Or, like, even when you go get really great sushi, and they'll tell you with certain pieces.
Yeah, they will tell you, don't use soy sauce.
It's not necessary for this. You're going to like the way it tastes.
You're going to get all salty instead of what we're trying to give you. All right, well, that's cool. Now, was Tom Sharpling able to deal with your crazy dancing, or did he have to step away a couple feet?
No, he was happy for my crazy dancing.
Is he a funky dancer as well?
He got down.
Breaking?
Yeah, he got down a little bit. But like somehow getting down but being reserved at the same time, you know?
I understand.
I mean, I feel like it's tricky for tall people to completely let loose.
I agree.
Because if you're letting loose the way I let loose and you're his height, I think you'd just look crazy. Limbs would just be going everywhere.
Yeah, you got to keep it, you got to tighten up. You got to tighten up when you're a tall person. Well, that was, first of all, very cool for him to offer that ticket to you, but two, to see them in that venue like that, like, because that's where you really want to see, in a funky warehouse in Brooklyn. Yeah,
it was a really cool space, and it's huge, it's massive. So it was cool.
How many people you think were there? 1,000?
Many hundred.
Many hundred.
Yeah, so I'm so bad with
900.
I don't know. I'm so bad.
I should have had you ask Tom.
I know. Someone who's good with numbers.
A man can look into any crowd and go like this. There's 1,700 people here.
I know.
I can do it all the time.
I've noticed that.
All right, Joe has got a spy report for us. We got to go to
spy report.
There you go. Hey, Joe.
Hey.
Yeah.
The cops have dragged that passenger off the plane and brutally. His name was Donald Roscoe.
I wonder if that's his real name, though, or if it's just his FBI name. Donnie Brasco.
The Donnie Brasco.
Yeah. My fucking dad was over in Japan. I'm not taking my shoes off for these assholes. So, you look into that, and it's one of those stories. I mean, yesterday, a guy went in and shot up his wife and some kids in a school.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as big as this doctor being dragged off. Nowhere near the enthusiasm people have of being opinionated about it. You never know what's going to go viral or why. Is it because most of us can imagine somebody telling us to leave a plane and us freaking out?
Or does it have to do with the fact that it was taped on a phone and it's social, being shared on that way? Maybe if somebody had a phone in that school, would that have get more attention?
That's a good point, but I'll say this: when you're on a plane and someone's being dragged off, try to stay in the moment. You know what I mean? Just like fucking be there, not on the other side.
Yeah.
Of a gizmo, okay? These are gizmos you're carrying around. But everybody is, and I would see an article yesterday, celebrities react to the doctor being dragged off the phone, and you get to find out what Billy Eichner fucking believes about
somebody. Or against.
No, he was very much against.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, the celebrities are on the side of don't drag people off the planes.
Right. And it's a very heated debate because
some people can't wait to be asked, hey, we'll give you money and tickets if you get off the plane right now. They're like, I'm out of here. They'll make a big deal out of it. It's kind of a fun moment. You're like, well, that guy just made $400. You feel good for him. But other people are like, my mom is picking me up at the airport.
Right.
I've already got my plans lined up of how I'm being picked up. But I didn't know anyone was on the airline side.
Yeah, there are people who, and this is people sharing it on social media and then having a heated debate. But there are people who are saying, look, if somebody refuses to do something that a company asks them to do, then police have every right to force them to leave the premises.
That's just not true.
And that's what the argument was. And they're like, plane safety is for everyone. And they're like, but this person paid for a ticket. And he said, look, I'm not the one. Pick someone else because it's not going to be
I'm
me.
a doctor. That's the thing. I don't know whether he is or not because I yell, I'm a doctor all the time. And I need to get through there. I saw, do you remember when that small plane, and it was a Yankee flying it, hit a building?
Yeah.
So we all walked over there, and there was a certain celebrity who had somebody that he knew that was either on that block, and he demanded to get through, and the cops weren't, and he was losing his shit. He was acting like the guy on this plane,
right?
Except for he was standing on his dogs, but he was like, I have every right to get over there and see what's going on. And the cops were like, you fucking don't, dude. It's not happening, And he's like, I don't know whether you ever saw the show 30 Rock. No, he didn't say that, but I'm trying to tell you who the celebrity is. I think you can already guess. It's not Tracy Morgan. But it's Alec. But it's always funny when you see somebody who takes that over the top thing. And I mean, this guy, you want to go out on your feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is not a good look for him.
I fucking get it. I don't like to have stuff happen, but I want to go out on my feet. I don't want to go out dragged, screaming, this is hurting, or whatever the fuck he was saying.
One place just says, kill me.
Actually, I can relate to that. That might be what I was saying. As they're like, I need to make this flight, and they're dragging me off. I'm like, kill me. Just kill me now.
You said, I want to go home. I want to go home.
You did.
I say there's no way this guy loses in whatever fucking court thing. They're going to offer him a ton of fucking money. A ton. I mean, you just saw a man hit the lottery.
And like, I think the best part is the reactions of his fellow passengers. And they're just like, oh my God, look what you've done to him.
Yes. The horror!
For shame!
And, I mean, it could have been avoided. It could have been avoided. 844 Rock God is our phone number. 844 Rock God. Hey, Scott, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Ron, Gail?
Hey.
Hey, man, I live a block away from that shooting yesterday, and I was listening to you on delay. I wanted to let you know that you were 100% right. The coverage that they had on it, it's a poor black Mexican area. And that's what we get in our area. You guys are lucky you got as much coverage on that terrorist attack that was there in San Bernardino, because people just don't really give a shit about us out there.
Yeah, I know. There's something about you guys. I'm going to say complexion. Scott, I'm going to give you that. It's complexion. All right, buddy.
I think I get
peace.
Where you're going.
Yeah.
All right, peace.
I mean, I said it yesterday. It turned out to be right. But by the way, Tom Sharpling has let us know that 1,800.
1,800. Many hundred, as I said.
Well, many hundred could you could have said 1,000,000 is still many hundreds.
Yeah, but I was thinking in like the 900, 1,000, but obviously I'm not even close to it.
Thank God you're not taking tickets there. Or LCD Sound System would have lost.
We're sold out.
That Punk is playing at my house. Good funky fucking show, huh?
Yeah, it was so good.
It's a great band.
Fantastic.
Did you go crazy when they did North American Scum?
They didn't do it.
What?
They didn't do it.
I would have fucking acted like that doctor. I would have been like that fucking doctor. They would have, I'm not fucking leaving! That song! I wish I would have my phone up the whole fucking show now! To show everybody you didn't play my favorite song!
I think the craziest moment is when they did Dance Yourself Clean and the place went crazy. Absolutely insane. And then they closed with All My Friends, which was like everyone went nuts. They didn't what do you like pre-encore? You know when you end the show, but it's like just there's still encore left.
Yes.
It's like the end of the first
the last show of the set.
Yeah. They did New York I Love You, which was awesome.
Get you sobbing?
I wasn't sobbing, but I was emotional and tingly for it.
You had your hands up in the air?
Mm-hmm. I did.
It's true. This fucking song is true.
Kill me. Just kill me.
I wish I could put my phone on right now. I'd be fucking loving it.
Give me the phone, Eli, and get me out of here.
Give me the phone. That's how the guy should have been doing. He should have been fucking acting like that. Give me the blood. Let me steal the blade.
Give me the blood, Lord.
Lord, I want good things. Hey, Brian, what's up, buddy? You're in Bennington.
Hey, yeah. I went to a concert called Jack White, and that was a great show. And right at the beginning, he came out and said the same thing. Let's all just enjoy the show. Let's not have to look at the glow of 5,000 cameras in front of your face while you're here. And then I'll have this professional photographer take all these pictures during the show and make them free to everybody on the website. It was great. It was a lot better than having to see all this phones in your face.
Yes, it's the exact opposite of enjoying a concert. It's the exact opposite.
I mean, you wouldn't do that during a movie. You would know that would be distracting to other audience members if everybody in the movie theater was holding their phone up. It's no different. Everyone wants to be looking at the stage, but there's no way not to look at the glowing box like a few feet in front of you.
It brings you right to it. But the other thing is, like, you'll watch, like, Trump will come out to give a speech. And, like, fucking people have their phones up. But I'm like, this is on Fox and CNN right now. You could just, you don't fucking need this.
Right.
You don't need, this is a covered event.
Yeah.
It's a covered event.
Professionals.
You don't need your fucking phone to have that little thing.
I know a lot of people also get really freaked out about it at weddings because, first of all, people put out the photos before somebody has released their wedding photos.
Right.
And then you're like, you can take bad pictures of the bride and groom. Like, the whole point is you've paid someone to take really nice professional photos.
Nobody wants to see a jolly bride. Just like,
and like, when you're on the dance floor, you're cutting a rug, there's going to be some bad angles.
Oh my God, your dancing is insane. Chaplin must have been on. Why did I bring her? Look at that crazy fucking
he wasn't.
dancing.
He was very pleased that I was feeling it.
Yeah, you were rocking it. You're in the I'll give you this. You are in the moment when it comes to music. Pit Doc has an update for us. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Ronnie.
Hey.
I just want to let you know, I'm looking at this great tweet that says that United Airlines stock is being reaccommodated. They've lost $800 million in the last 24 hours in stock prices.
Time to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Time to fucking buy.
Get in now.
They only dropped 4%, but it's still $800 million. Think they would have paid this guy a little bit more, he would have gone, or just keep jacking it up until people would have bought it off.
Yeah, there's a price. There is a. Well, somebody's going to look at this. Did he just say $16,000? I mean, that sounds like a lot of money, but you would have saved $800 million.
Yeah.
I think that they are going to be teaching this in business school for a long time to come. Like the downside. And even though they may feel that they were right. Now, everyone's talking about why do they overbook flights? Why do they overbook flights? Particularly now when you owe money. It used to be if you missed your flight, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bennington, we'll put you on the next flight. But now, like, okay, you're out that money. What are you going to do, dude? It's up to you. This is your fucking call now. You going back in your pocket or back to your house? It's up to you. But the flight was not overbooked. It was sold out. And then they needed to put 4 crew members on to go to another city so they could work that plane, right? So it was basically them not wanting their own employees to be strap hangers, which I would have just said, stand in the back. I mean, you're fucking fine back there. That turbulence isn't going to make you fall down.
You're used to it.
Just go and sit on the John. Sit in the fucking toilet seat. And you'll be fine. But they've got to figure out what to do so they don't lose $800 million in a day.
Right.
And everyone's pissed at the CEO for coming out and saying, look, they did nothing wrong.
Oh,
I know everybody wants to stick with their fucking people, you know, but that guy could be going tomorrow. He's going to hear this from the fucking board of directors. Flintstone! Article up on the iBang today as Ricky Gervais lost his lifetime pass. And first of all, it's always an interesting thing because there are certain people that you give a lifetime pass to. I'm going to, off the top of my head, Mr. David Bowie, right?
Right.
He made albums I didn't like. I wasn't furious with him. I didn't feel like he let me down. I'm like, I'll come around and grab the next album, see what happens. So I get the lifetime pass thing. There's other people that you feel like, nope, lifetime pass is off.
Yeah. Well, I have a hard time revoking such a thing because I tend to go, if someone gave me joy, whether they made a great film, they made a great album, it's like I can still appreciate that, and I don't have to then, because they did something so well, hold them to a standard where I'm like, I'm furious with you what you've done to me.
And I'll tell you how that happens though. Francis Ford Coppola doing Godfather 3, taking characters that we cherish,
right,
and not taking care of them. And this is Leslie's kind of point of when you go and take that guy from The Office.
Right.
And do something with him that as a viewer, you probably didn't think. Right. It's not where you had your head going with him.
Yeah, and now you've changed the reality of the first story.
One.
Yeah.
Of the first one. Now when you look at it, you look at him as the guy who, goes off and does this other thing. Chris, where are you on Ricky Gervais?
I haven't watched his last few projects. Like, I didn't see the new David Brent movie. And, I mean, I don't, the last thing I probably really liked of his was Extras. That's going back a long time.
That's the second one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you like two things. So he probably didn't even have a lifetime pass for you anyway.
I felt like it was going towards lifetime pass because I loved Extras. And I loved the original Office.
Let's go through original Office and then Extras.
Yeah.
And then what else was he doing? He had a couple movies.
And then a couple stand-up specials he did.
A couple stand-up specials. And then he did the Special Needs Kid.
On Netflix, yeah.
And then he did that special Correspondents, which was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw part. I turned it on.
Okay. So you're leaning with Leslie on this.
I'm in Leslie Coffin's camp right now.
I just thought you two would be great together. I'm not even making that up.
I mean, he is dating.
You know, we always talk about you need like somebody. She's a great cook. She, loves the arts. She could be somebody that stabilizes you a little
She's
bit.
learned.
I don't think I need the stabilization. I
You
do.
do.
I
More
like
than
being a
anything
little
else.
filter.
Everyone does.
Right now, if you went to jail for 6 months, I'd probably feel comfortable. Like, all right, at least I know where he is tonight. But we're getting off the case here. All right, so you're leaning towards Leslie. I have to tell you, I loved The Office so much when it came out.
Yeah.
And it was also like a depressing time in my life because that's exactly when Fez started to have like serious problems, which I wasn't understanding. And then like I would be like, dude, I found this show on BBC America. It's so fucking good. Right? And it's usually one of my favorite songs is a fucking opening. It's real, so that thing meant a lot to me like I was a little kid when I saw it. So much that when I came to New York and O&A booked Ricky Gervais, I called up Opie and I said, I'm coming in for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I want to be in on that. And another time I was here when I was doing Opie's show. Anthony was on vacation, and me and Jay Moore were in, and Gervais and Louis C.K. were here. And I'm like looking around the room going, this is a fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is Jim Norton sitting on here, Jay Moore, Gervais. I mean, this is a fucking heavy hitting room.
Yeah.
I'm in. And Jay didn't enjoy it at all. But I thought it was great.
You told me he was upset about it.
Yeah, he was upset that he didn't feel like he got the love that he deserved. But I thought it was an amazing experience. So I love Gervais. Love the guy. I'm not happy with what he did with the David Brent character.
Now, when you have a sort of a breakup,
yeah,
the expiration of a lifetime pass, does it spoil the previous work for you? Does it make you question whether it's good, or you just say, I'm getting off the ride?
No. First of all, I'll not get off the Gervais thing. I'm not going to judge. Like he's also did you ever see The Invention of Lying? Movie?
I didn't see it, no.
It's really ballsy. Even if you call it, a failure, you'd have to call it a noble failure. He did another movie called
Ghost Town.
Oh yeah, Ghost
World?
Town. Yeah, Ghost Town. That was kind of a regular one. Cemetery Junction, which is maybe my favorite, and it's about these. He's only in it as the dad, but it's basically Ricky's story of being this English kid, downtrodden, and then finding glam rock and the excitement level of that. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah,
I dig. That thing where your whole life is going to be set up that you're going to be doing something, and then there's some art form that makes you think, oh, there's different. Plus, he had the first big podcast, and I know you love the Pilkington stuff.
Yeah,
Carl Pilkington, yeah.
Pilkington, yeah.
You were fucking crazy about that.
An Idiot Abroad.
Idiot Abroad.
And like that was, like I had a very similar thing. Like you're saying, it was like it came in a time in your life where you're like you could listen to it, and it was like sometimes like a piece of art can be like very warm for you. Like
sure,
you're just like,
absolutely.
oh, I really need this in this time. And
I've had it happen several times in my life.
Yeah,
where I'm like, this is the only thing I got working for me right now. I'm a fan of this thing.
But that's why I think there's different ways to handle when you kind of either outgrow an artist or an artist changes in a way that doesn't really jive with you anymore. Yeah, like for example, like for me, it would be like Weezer. So Weezer, like the first album, I love. The second album, I'm insane for and think it's the greatest. Third album, I was like, this isn't terribly good, but I like that they're doing an album. Like I was just really happy.
You're very much on the side.
So I was just like, even though this isn't my most favorite thing, I went to see them perform. I bought the album, and I was happy enough just to have them back. And then after that, I just felt like, well, this is getting harder and harder for me to, it's just not palatable to me. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. But I know people who feel the same way I did, and they're just like, I hate that band now. And I could never get to that point. It could never make me angry.
I agree with you 100%.
That they're different. It's just like, I got off the boat.
But even if you look at the biggest bands of all time, the Rolling Stones, I have a specific time where I'm a giant Rolling Stones fan. And very little post 1975. But if somebody said, do you like the Stones? I say, I love the Stones.
Right.
Love them.
Yeah. I mean, even Weezer, what I'm saying is like, that's like 2.5 albums that I like. They've made like 3 times the amount. Like they've had way more albums now in this new version of themselves that I don't like.
So what?
But I still am like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of that band. I love that.
I'm that way with most people. I mean, if I said, how much Guns N' Roses do you actually like? 1.5 would be. And then if people said, do you like Guns N' Roses? I'd say I love them.
Right.
Aerosmith, I was off the bandwagon at, 4th album maybe. Love them for my whole life. My whole life. Yeah, it doesn't mean that I, Hank, that my favorite. That doesn't happen for me, but I love that fucking band.
Right.
I love them. It's true of most days. I mean, you don't get a real lot.
And then I have another one, which is less to do about the type of work that he takes, but Bill Murray is a good example for me because it was like, I loved him so much as a kid.
Right.
And that now I feel like the masses kind of claimed him. And I feel like a little like, well, this is kind of a weird thing that he's just like this pop icon that everyone's like, hey, he's the greatest of all time.
And almost untouchable. And Gervais has been pretty untouchable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like at certain points, you're going like, all right, I know that you love Bill Murray, but have the last couple, are you looking at him as an artist anymore?
Right.
Are you giving him the credibility? Like in this article that she puts up, she makes the case that he works much better with Stephen Merchant than without Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
But if you're going to be a blind fan, you don't even pay attention about that. Hey, John in New York, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I just wanted to mention the animated show on HBO, the Ricky Gervais show. That was like kind of the start of the Idiot Abroad stuff. It was kind of like a radio show format.
Yeah, it was a podcast, and then they put the cartoon thing on it. Which, by the way, when I heard the idea, I'm like, well, I don't like the. You know what I mean? I don't like you turning yourself into a cartoon, but it's very funny, and I ended up enjoying it.
Right. And if you already liked those clips and you already were familiar with it, you're like, oh yeah, it's just a visual element. I had the same thing where I'm like, oh, are they going to ruin this?
Yeah.
That's it.
So, you, Doug, you like that stuff? Okay, off you go. Liz Fire says she was a huge fan of Idiot Abroad. Stephen Knight lost it 7 years ago.
Wow.
Anyway, this is up on the iBang. What's the name of it again, Chris?
Ricky Gervais expires his lifetime pass.
I would have thought that you would have been had more of an opinion on this. You went low.
Well, I felt I was going to give Colbert a lifetime pass, but then when he went to the Late Show 2 months in, I was like, this isn't.
Have you tried him lately?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've gone back to when he does the character.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't feel the same.
It's not even just the character that he does. You know what I mean? Like you're getting the actual Stephen Colbert, which is closer to the character than the guy he started on CBS with.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I do think that the show has improved quite a bit, which, that's always like a hard thing. Like, why aren't you immediately good at this? And why isn't this the best thing ever? And it is a new show and he's doing a whole new thing. Jump back in. Get back in there with your friend.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of people who, like Albert Brooks, because of his early movies, lifetime pass for me. I don't know whether he's taken as many chances in the last, say, 20 years, Like, what's
the last movie that he wrote and starred in that was like an Albert Brooks movie?
Was it Mother, or then that weird one where he went to Dubai or whatever? I'm trying to find comedy in a Muslim world.
Or is the Muse? Was that after?
No, that was before. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it was Mother. I think maybe
Mother was the last one that you loved.
Yeah, maybe it was the last one.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Mother.
I really like that movie.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like. Well, it's just that I thought that his early stuff was so fucking amazing. I mean, maybe I liked it out of proportion. You know what I mean? But does that mean that the person always has to work at that incredibly high angle, that they just can't go and make a fucking a remake of The In-Laws or become a cartoon fish without it depressing you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing is oftentimes we're punishing the people we think are the most talented.
Right, you're harder on them.
How dare you have done something that good and then do something mediocre later?
Yeah. That's the problem. How are you supposed to stay at that level your entire life?
Yeah, it's completely... I mean, who has even done... I mean, who could you even say of the people you're a fan of is the most consistent?
Here's Michael in Denver. Michael.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
How are you?
What can we do for you, Michael?
Hey, so as you guys are talking about this lifetime pass, people losing their lifetime pass, the biggest name that comes to mind is Adam Sandler.
Well, I think it's tough, to be totally honest, it's tougher to be Ricky Gervais than Adam Sandler, because Adam Sandler never did have critical love at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Adam Sandler, I don't think has a single award at his house. You know what I mean?
Razzies.
Right.
Right. He's got Razzies.
But his fans love him, and so that makes him...
Until this Netflix thing. I mean, he's taken...
Yeah.
Like, his fans are like, what the fuck is going on with this Netflix thing? Seriously.
What are these things he's making?
And it is hard to... it's another reason I don't know if Netflix has been good for the art form. Any art form, to be totally honest.
Yeah, and it maybe is too early to tell. Not that Netflix is...
I have no problem telling. I'm saying... I'll say this about Netflix. I think it works better for the people who didn't have a career before Netflix than the people that Netflix throws a ton of money at and says, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, or the people who had a career and then needed some sort of like they're not hot at the moment. I don't think it's probably ever going to be good for somebody who's hot at the moment.
Well, I don't know of anybody that you're talking about that they've thrown money at that wasn't hot, but if you look at the people that they're throwing money at now and say, did they do better work pre-Netflix or post-Netflix?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's out there. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. Anyway, Leslie's piece is up. And I think what I dug about it is that she said she was a major fucking Ricky Gervais fan.
I respect that she's revoking the past.
You respect it.
I think she's allowed to do it. I just think there's, as long as you don't let it spoil previous work for yourself, I think it's okay to say, this is where I get off. Enjoy the rest of your decisions you make with your career.
And maybe you'll learn it back. Who knows?
Tim Knight said the only reason people say Colbert is getting better is because he's bashing Trump. Yeah, that's right. We got to make America.
He's got it.
Great again.
He figured it out.
Great again. That's what we got to do. And Steven said he makes his case kind of close to Leslie's. Cam says Oliver Stone is a guy who seemed to have a lifetime pass for a lot of people, and I can't imagine that he does now. I will give Stone this, though. Is like, I do believe that he does take chances and that they don't work most of the time. And even some of his other work that I was easier on, I go back and watch, and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
JFK is nuts. I mean, it's fucking nuts. Nixon is nuts. I mean, it's fucking crazy.
I mean, most of them that I saw as like teenage years to an adult, I did not like and was like, this style doesn't work for me. The only one that I can think of that I still would probably watch fondly is The Doors, and that's because I watched it so young. Maybe.
But it's also crazy, but it worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It worked maybe because of Val Kilmer, maybe because the music is so great, but there's a lot of ham-fisted stuff in that movie that you just give a break to.
Right.
But I will agree with you. I will watch The Doors. Salvador, I think, is fucking brilliant. Platoon is brilliant. You know, you're not going to take that away. The ones after that get crazier and crazier and crazier.
Yeah, they get really...
But he's a terribly interesting man. Terribly fucking interesting guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that heart of an artist is there more than the heart of somebody who's trying to win awards or be loved. You know what I mean?
I'll never forget the time we saw him speak, and it was not long after 9/11, and he was talking, and it was like a panel. Christine Vachon was there from Killer Films, a couple other panelists.
Hitchens.
Yeah, Hitchens was there, and the whole discussion was, how is this going to impact art? How will movies change in the wake of 9/11? And, you know, everyone's like, oh, it'll make movies smarter, or it'll make it more thoughtful, or maybe it'll make them more fluffy and stupid. And he was just like, I'd like to make a movie about 9/11 and a terrorist, like terrorist training. And it was like...
It's like it starts in a terrorist camp.
What? Yeah.
You know, when he started, and fucking people, I mean, the smoke was still in the air.
Yeah.
And
like
people were furious. Fucking Hitchens was acting like he was a dick. And I'm like, this is a great speech to be had.
It was so... First of all, not only did people boo him, but there was a woman behind us who actually hissed.
Boos.
Hissed. She was like, boo! And I never actually heard anyone do that in real life. But that shows you, like, he can't help it. Like, that just over-the-top, stylized, like, he was just like this. I mean, who on 9/11, that moment was like, it's going to make a great movie?
I could see it now.
GM, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, guys. Hey, Gail. How y'all doing?
What's up, man?
I was just saying I could never, ever pull these passes, but what are your thoughts on Pacino and De Niro and some of the stuff they've done, later in their careers?
I think, to be totally honest, the problem for those guys is they kept making starring movies instead of working as an actor.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really, wouldn't really think of that. But if they would have every opportunity to take interesting roles, but maybe they're not going to be as much money and lead actor and a big opening. You're right.
And a lot of that stuff is that you move into, a character actor phase of your career. But if you're trying to hold on to something else, what happened. You know what I mean? Particularly if you're like, look, dude, I'm fucking 62 years old and look at the money I'm being offered. I can understand why people would go, maybe this thing will work out. Maybe this gets me hot again.
Yeah.
But it isn't done for the point of acting, what you originally went into acting for. It's about movie stardom. It's about business. It isn't about what am I going to do with my art. Nate in Maine. Nate.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Gail, doing a great job, second chair.
Thanks.
I don't know if there is such a thing as second chair.
Well, it does say 2 on the back of this. So.
Does it?
Anyway, I wanted to say that, I think the difference between back then and now is you've got real professionals. Robert Duvall, I can't think of anything where I was disappointed, or someone even like Don Knotts. They never seem to phone it in.
I mean, it's hard to...
That was the best second person to say after Duvall.
I don't know whether you saw Three's Company. Not Knotts' best work. You know what? Duvall, there are movies, they're just not as glaringly big as the ones that the other guy, but Duvall also started to do, like I said, character actor work.
Yeah, I can't think of something that would have been on a Bad Grandpa level,
Right.
But I can't. It's not really coming to mind, but I'm sure, that he did some broader character.
Yeah, and because he's getting involved in a bigger movie than and playing a character part in a bigger movie. You know what I mean? Like if you see him in that Tom Cruise racing movie, you're like, I don't know, dude.
Days of Thunder.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing in this. But,
you didn't have to be in this,
you know, because nobody's going to bat 100%. You're just not.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm being told here. This person said he lost his lifetime pass with me after Special Correspondents. Well, you know, and then they write up SNL. It's actually kind of interesting that I'm probably less hard on SNL than anything else. I'm just like, it's there.
Well, yeah, and also, I don't think I could ever. I've seen some terrible episodes of SNL, and it's never made me think I will never watch the show again because it's always changing. It's always moving. The cast always changes. The topics are always pop culture and what's in the news.
And yet there are weeks and seasons where they phoned it in.
Definitely.
It's always surprising when you, after like a great episode, you'll see the next episode and you're like, what are they doing? You know what I mean? Like, you look back at the last episode and Louis is just wearing the long eyelashes. I laughed, but then I'm like, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Like, just a guy with long eyelashes.
Well, the funny thing is, I was laughing too, not because I thought it was great, just because it was very peculiar. And then I was like, that was like first sketch. If your first sketch is that deep silly, you know it's going to be a weird night. Because that's usually a late sketch where somebody has...
Len's a sectional guy or whatever.
Right, exactly.
And the fucking clown bit. Which I liked.
Very bizarre. But yeah, I mean, and that goes to show you could have an episode that doesn't really work in a season where an episode completely knocks it out of the park, and you're like, SNL's the greatest show of all time.
I don't know whether you saw the reviews on the Louis one, but they were amazingly through the roof. Where you get those things of, Louis just won the, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you're just like, well, I don't know if it's that much, but it becomes that thing online where it's really good to praise somebody or really good to bash somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so people... I mean, there's certain people who tweet things that aren't the greatest things in the world to me, but the internet goes crazy. Guess who just won the internet last night? And it's always Patton Oswalt.
Always is.
Yeah.
How does he keep winning it?
Reigning
Internet.
champ.
Yeah, he is the reigning champ of tweeting.
But yeah, I mean, maybe I was being a little harsher on that episode because it's within the same season where you just had really good Melissa McCarthy and
it also didn't seem like it was the best Alec Baldwin's. It seemed like he didn't have the strongest.
And
thing.
I thought that kind of set the tone for the night. Is that I felt like it wasn't the strongest Trump sketches.
The internet disagrees with you. All the reviews disagree with you 1,000,000%.
I lost the internet, I guess.
You did. You lost the internet. And you don't know how many people are at a show at any given time.
Many hundreds. So many hundreds.
I never get that thing that you just can't look at a crowd and give a guesstimate.
Well, you know, I was going to say that it was like 1,000 was going to be my guess, and obviously that's still really off because it's
almost half off.
But I was afraid of going super low or super. Like, I just didn't want to be wrong, so I was just like. Many hundreds I thought would cover
I just find it odd, right? To me, looking at a crowd and saying what you think is the same as looking at something and saying what color you think it is.
I've never
like
had
I don't
that
have to sit around if something is like black or dark blue, I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? You can fucking figure it out.
I fucking love eyeballing shit. Even if there's something in a jar. Like not even just
No,
people,
this
but
is-
just objects.
Oh, so you're weird and retarded like him? Is that what you're saying?
I'm fucking
Likes
not
to look at
retarded.
something and say how many
This
things are
is
there.
in case you're trying to help him, and he's saying, "I have a skill that I can look
No,
at."
no. I'm saying I think men, it's easier for men to look at a crowd. I've noticed this because I'll say how many people were there like how many people were at a ball game, and guys will go like this. Oh, 33,000. You know what I mean? Like you can go to
Specific
Yankee
number.
Stadium
Yeah.
and it's fucking half full and there's empty seats, and you're able to go fairly close.
I cannot do that. Like I have been.
I think it's a man-woman thing.
Yeah.
I really do.
Like a million.
Look at this fucking dude loves eyeballing. My friend Chris.
He goes
What?
like this. What do you think? There's like 45 olives in here. What do you think?
You think
He does
there's
it.
about what 19 monitors in this room?
He does it all the time. That's his thing. But I do think, Jen, are you good at looking at a crowd?
Absolutely not. I'm like Gail, where I'm like, it's a couple
Now,
people.
I do this all the time with friends of mine that go to shows. And they'll go, oh, I went to see somebody, some stand-up. They were great. And I'll say to them, if it's a guy or if it's a girl, how many people were there? A guy will always go 1,300. A woman will go, oh, I could never. Like, they don't even attempt to do the thing. They immediately go into that. How can someone look into a room and know how many people are there? It's fucking crazy to me. All right, let me check with Vito. Vito? Can you look at a crowd and give me a quick guesstimate?
Yeah, I can. And I think it's because, like you said, guys grow up like going to sports games and stuff.
Sports games.
Oh, like
You
arenas.
talk
and just-
about fucking how redundant something is.
But-
You just use the term sports game.
that
old
sounded
sports game.
that was bad. But you go to arenas and stadiums, and you spend like half of the game going. I don't know. I guess there's like
So
24,000
it takes
people
you by
here.
half the game, bro.
No, but I have at every fucking game I ever go to, I fucking put a guesstimate on how many people were there. And I'm not doing it like, oh, this is a special skill of mine. I'm just thinking of it as something like you do. People do, like noticing a sunset.
Right. Now the big show that we went to go see, that was what, Giant Stadium?
Giant Stadium, yeah. Guns N' Roses.
when we got there, immediately it's like the conversation of how many people were at this show.
What do you think, around 85,000?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it was,
Yeah.
but like immediately we were talking about it, and I was like, I couldn't tell you. I mean, so many thousands I couldn't tell you, and
Well,
I'm like,
80.
and I'm just like, I don't know what I couldn't figure it. Like nothing.
This
was
is why we
computing.
didn't take women to the moon, if I'm going to be totally honest. This is what kept you off the moon shots.
That's why you kept our figures hidden.
Robert, Birmingham.
Yeah, how you doing, Ron? Yeah, I think what you're talking about the crowd size, and it is true. I went somewhere the other night. It was a little jazz band concert, and somebody said, "How many people are there?" I said, 250, 300. I didn't have to count. I just knew.
I'm the same way. I think that if you start to count, you fuck yourself
All
up.
right.
Like, oh, how many rows are here? I've never done that.
No.
Now-
I just look
Yeah.
at a crowd and put a guesstimate in.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Do you have a strategy? Like, for example, do you look at the crowd and go,
No.
"Well, that's about 100 people, and I could multiply that square by"?
No, it's
you
the
look,
mass.
It's just
you
it's
look
just
at
there
the
was
mass.
300 people.
Yes.
Because I was just gonna say, if I would have thought to maybe use a square footage method, where I'm like, oh, there's got to be about
But
300
you've
people
already
standing
lost.
there.
That's what I'm saying.
Can I add something, Ron? I
Yeah.
think it's a spatial thing because it also has to do with directions. And I can be with a woman and we'll go off exploring somewhere, and she says, "I think we're lost." And I go, "No, home's that way."
No.
I don't know where we are, but I know home is that way. Or if I go into a house that's being built, I went with my mom and she couldn't tell. She said, "Well, what is all this?" I said, "Well, this is where the kitchen would be. That's where the bedroom." She couldn't visualize it spatially.
By
where
the
that
way,
was.
I don't
think
do a
it's
good
all
job with that.
related.
I don't do a good job with that.
I don't think that's gender specific, because I've had this happen many times where I'm with men and they're like, like when you come out of a parking lot and you're going, "What direction did we come from? I want to go to that same direction." And I always know where physically I am. So so I'm not sure if that is as gender specific. Maybe it is, and I'm just an exception to that rule. But I'm definitely not bad with directions.
I'll
but
tell you
this
this.
thing is beyond understand. Like, I even was trying to figure out the method that you guys use, and you're saying you don't even have a method. You just
You just
go,
look.
"Oh, that's what
You
that
look.
is."
I mean, do you have a method for figuring out what color something is?
No, I just look at
thank
it and I assess.
You look at it and you assess. And you could do that when you were a child.
Yes.
I felt the same way about this.
That's amazing.
Now, here's an interesting thing, because you're saying you don't think it's gender specific. I remember after the 1976 Olympics, Bruce Jenner had won his gold medal. And he goes like this, I want to thank all 69,000 people that are here. That's what he said, 16. I always remembered that. The other day, they asked Caitlyn Jenner something like, how many people are, and she goes, I don't know, 30 million? Either 30 or 30 million. She couldn't tell. Maybe this ability to figure out crowd size is in the gonads.
It
Okay, girls, I had to use a bad word here. Okay, thick, hairy balls. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Thick, fucking hairy balls.
Got it.
Maybe that's where the data is processed very quickly, and then it goes to the brain, and immediately you can say, "Oh my God, yeah, that's."
By the way,
30,000 people.
I've been tough on Caitlyn Jenner. Totally impressed. She had the operation.
Yeah,
Totally impressed.
She went for the
I never thought she'd do it.
I'm shocked.
I never thought she'd do it.
I thought that penis was staying a penis. When I saw that show, I was blown away.
Yeah.
I could never say anything about
I
it
really,
ever again.
I'm really
You
shocked
remember
too.
that? You remember that, Chris?
It didn't seem like something that was going to be important or necessary for her process. But yeah, she went full Monty.
I thought it was important to say the she thing for me. And as a woman, you know what I mean? Like, I had problems with that. But now, no problems, Caitlyn.
You've really grown.
Yeah.
And it's the vagina that did it for you.
Well, it was the commitment.
Right.
It was the commitment. Because I just don't know if you could put a wig on and say I'm a woman now. I'm willing to, learn. But when Caitlyn started to speak for women, I'm like, come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, this is an argument I've had with trans friends, gay friends. It's not popular. And I'm very left and I'm very open on this, on the issue of
You're very accepting to people's sexuality.
However, one thing that I just kind of have a feeling that is a little different is that I would never say that Caitlyn would understand being a woman the
but
same
she was
way.
drinking a glass of white wine.
I get it. I get it. She's got
That's
all.
what bothered me.
She got the jewels. She got the shoes. I get it.
No. I think Caitlyn was too quick to show herself. Like, here's a tiny glass of white wine, and I want to take you in to show you my closet space. I'm like, that had. But I've always supported gay men. When they said stuff like "you go girl"
Right.
or "shut up bitch," that always made me laugh from Jump Street.
But the thing about it that I've had this argument before is she doesn't understand my experience as
Now
a
she
woman.
does.
She truly never will. Just any more than I would say I'm a woman, so I know exactly how Caitlyn Jenner feels being trans and all the things she goes through.
I think she would welcome that if you said that. I think she would love it.
You think that she would say,
I know she would.
As a white woman, I totally understand,
Yes.
like a person of color who's trans and we're the same or something.
Are you saying Caitlyn's of
No,
I'm
saying-
it's coming across right now. Wow. And I'm going to put an internet blast on this.
But no, don't. You're going to lose the internet once they see what you've done.
CompuServe. Wow. I'm going to put this in my CompuServe message board.
I just mean like we can still be sisters if you want, but we're going to be like step sisters or half sisters. You know what I mean? Like,
that's very closed-minded of you.
I don't think it is.
I am totally accepting now, because of the operation of Caitlyn Jenner, as in the same way, as soon as Jim Carrey became American, I accepted him as American. I never sat around and going, Jim Carrey wasn't born here, but he did the work that it took.
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner has done the work that it took.
Yes.
Like before that, if I saw, before he got his citizenship, if I saw Jim Carrey singing the national anthem, I'd be like, what you talking about, Jim? But now that he is an American, yes, he could, he has all rights and privileges. Now he's no longer a Canadian fence jumper.
Yeah.
Caitlyn Jenner is a woman.
Yes, she totally is.
Now,
a woman.
has she filmed Her transition, is that going to be a new show? Because I'll watch that.
I have no idea, but it's hard to imagine that she wouldn't. It's very difficult for that family to not go through a big...
Well, Vito will be excited about this. They just announced a new show today, a spinoff show called, and the wit here is amazing, The Life of Kylie. And it's... That's your favorite of them all, right?
Yeah, that's my generation's Kardashian.
Not mine. Mine is the one with the Pepsi. She's my fucking favorite by far. She's gorgeous and she's clueless, and that's all I ever want, in a
Which
TV
one's
star.
that?
That's Kendall.
Kendall is the one with the Pepsi can.
Yeah.
You didn't
That's
know
Kendall.
That's
okay.
Kendall, the
so
model.
Kylie is the one who's like the Instagrammer.
She's thicker. She's more Kardashian and Jenner, in my opinion.
She looks like a sex robot.
Yeah, and her
I'm
transition.
saying she does.
That is a disparaging remark.
But she
disparaging.
I don't want to disparage
But she had a transition as well. Like her transition was like, I want to look less Jenner. I want to look more Kardashian.
It's an interesting point. I never even thought about that.
She was like a 12-year-old girl one day, and then the next day, all of a sudden, she was like a grown.
All right,
woman.
that's fucking creepy, dude. That's
He
not
said
what we're
this in a
talking
very
about.
weird way.
Seriously, that isn't even what we're talking about. Her fuckability.
No, I mean,
goddamn.
No, I mean she went under the knife.
Neo-racist.
I like that neo-racist. Neoped.
First of all,
Neoped is not a thing. I mean, he's kind of a neoped. What?
Does that mean he walks on his hindquarters? Look, we're trying to fix things here today. And there's almost no fucking way as soon as Vito joins in.
I'll be watching this show from day one.
Yeah, but that's not the point. You're not getting it, dude. You don't know what... If once you've lived and loved and lost the way Kylie has, then maybe you can get it. But if you're just looking back or trying to figure out what age she became fuckable, then you're just a creep,
No, that's
dude.
not what I meant.
You're
I was just
disgusting.
saying. I was just commenting on her transition.
I'm going to repeat Artie Lange's joke from yesterday. So, spoiler if you haven't seen this. When I was in school, I thought the blue part of the globe was the sky. That may be the funniest fucking joke I've ever heard in my life. And I can't stop fucking thinking about it. Like, the fact that you don't know what an ocean is. I mean, you're old enough to know the word globe, but you don't know what an ocean is. That's another thing. I don't think women love globes and maps as much as men.
Yeah, I think boys immediately are very mappy. Like my little brother was obsessed. You know when you go to a theme park and you get a map at the front? That was his favorite part. Like he was sitting there like, all right, here we are. Here's like, Tomorrowland. So we're definitely going to go over there. Like, and he had to be in charge of said map.
I got it completely.
I was the same way when my parents taking the Six Flags. Fucking obsessed with that kind of.
Wait, there's only 4 rides there.
Well, we weren't going to Disneyland. Sure, we get to Jersey.
You never went
though.
to Disney?
I never went to Disney. No, never.
Vito, you?
Too late.
Yeah, I went to Disney. Time of my life.
Great.
Jen, of course, has you live next
Good job,
to
Leslie.
Disney.
Yeah, I've been to Disney.
Do you like Disney or Universal?
Universal.
I know it. You know why?
Why?
Cocktails.
Yeah.
There's a
City Walk, girl.
Yeah, there's a big nightlife thing, and the girls get dressed up for it there, and that's what Jen likes to do.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it's a whole club scene over there.
There's a club scene at Universal.
Oh, from day one.
What?
Right away, and great restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the first Emerald outside of New Orleans, I think.
Yeah.
Even when he didn't have a New York place.
And it was great. I mean,
No, but
people want
Yeah.
to bust on Emerald. I mean, his restaurants were
Whoever busted on Emerald.
a lot of, because he became like a very, he was like that first
He lost
celebrity.
his lifetime pass?
I think for some people he did. I think it was all the BAM and everyone was repeating BAM. It's not, when something gets out of hand. It's like you
Yeah,
get a
but I would
catchphrase
say
and then.
Emerald, Bobby Flay, and who else is
Mario Batali.
Mario Batali. I've been to all their, not all of their restaurants, but I've been to restaurants by every one of those guys. And also the other, the English guy.
Gordon Ramsay.
I had great meals at every one of their restaurants. I mean, Bobby Flay has had great restaurants.
Yeah.
Mario Batali, amazing restaurants. The same can be said of Emerald. I go to his place in fucking New Orleans, and I'm like, I can't believe how good this is.
Yeah. people shouldn't bust on him. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm not going to say that for the one guy that they have now. Burgers and what's his name?
Diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Donkey sauce.
I can't get behind donkey sauce. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I hear it from
He
everybody.
does seem really nice.
Yeah, he seems nice, but
pleasant.
His stuff comes off like a Ruby Tuesdays,
does.
and in your face, Ruby Tuesdays.
Right.
That show's on. That's the only thing they play. That and Chopped on Food Network.
I used to go to Emerald tapings when I was a kid, and I got to sit at the table where you get to eat his food. It was pretty cool.
Were you on TV?
I was in there's 2 rows of tables. I was in the second row of tables.
Oh, so but then it's bullshit. If you can't prove it, it's bullshit.
But I was eating. I mean, I was eating the food.
Yes,
I wanna
the
see a
fucking fact
screenshot.
is this: you can't prove that you were even there. Therefore, you weren't.
You're a liar.
What if I may? You try to find a ticket or something.
No, I want
Nobody's
visual.
gonna look at a fucking ticket that you bought on eBay.
It's 2017.
I also it was a daily show back then. I don't know if I could go find like a specific episode.
You weren't on it, dude. That's why you can't find it. You can't find it because you came in here with one of your bullshit lies and you thought we'd all play for it. But guess what? We're all wise to your ass.
It's not a bullshit lie. I ate his cake.
Guess what? You're not going to Austin now.
No, I don't take away my vacation. I'm not even lying.
It's not a vacation. It's
And
work.
liars don't get to go.
It's a work trip. Chris, you're not, since you and him are on the buddy system, you're not going either. Then.
What
Neither of you
if
are
I
going.
somehow make my own way down there?
That I'm willing to do. That I'm willing to do.
I smell a road trip movie. You and Vito.
Here's what we did to Paulo one time when I was doing the Ron and Ron show. We were all we were taking the show to Vegas. We told Paulo that he had to go by bus. So we all fly. It's like 3-4 hours. He takes like a 40-hour bus trip, right? We've already been there for days. He gets there and he's like, oh, fuck, that was a nightmare. He goes, where's my room? We go, you're not getting a room. You're down here in the lobby. And he just sat in the lobby for like 24 hours.
Oh my God.
It was the funniest fucking trip of my life. And now Chris is willing to do that?
Oh, Jesus, no.
You know how long it would take you by bus to get to Austin?
God knows.
That's not something you can eyeball.
You know, I'm going to guesstimate about 37 hours.
No way. No way. Because a lot of times those buses just stop places.
Yeah.
That sucks.
They're all going to be like, there's no one to drive it. The guy be in tomorrow.
What?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I've talked to people who've taken bus trips. The longest bus trips I took was cross town. And I'm like, I got to get off here. I'm going nuts. David, Houston.
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, you know that some orderly has to have this Caitlyn Jenner penis in a jar somewhere. How long till it shows up for
All right.
auction on things?
They don't cut the penis off. They split it and push it inside. Split.
There's got to be something extra.
No, everything is used.
tucked.
Yeah, they're like
Everything?
everything. It's like the ancient Indians were with Tatanka, the buffalo. They would use every bit of it. Caitlyn has used every bit of her penis to turn her into a woman.
And I think that, you have to use those nerve endings in the penis to create a clit. So you just kind of like fold it up.
Oh, man, that just hurt me really bad.
Fucking
Folded it up is the one that got to me.
oh.
And that's why she's a woman to me. She made a bold move.
Always a woman to you.
She's always a woman to me. Oh, but not in the past. She was a guy back then. She had gonads and stuff. I want to look into this thing, how to get Billy Joel tickets from StubHub day up for $20.
Yeah, who said like somebody had just told us that recently?
Yeah, somebody, it was one of the comics that fucking knows every angle. You know, when you talk about people who know angles, talk to a comic.
It sounds like Greg Stone to me. He sounds like somebody who knows.
It does sound like how to get it. Yeah. Then he also said where you could get extra hot dog rolls and save a little money.
Bring your own.
But here's the thing. I made up that lie, and Chris just went, yeah.
He said, oh, I know. He does do that.
I remember.
Bill in Jersey. Bill.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
I just think that just by having a procedure, if you're a man, it doesn't turn you into a woman.
It
still
does.
has Y chromosomes. I mean, I'm not trying to be closed-minded or nothing.
No, I get it.
But
You hate
I
women.
think it's superficial, man. I just think it's totally superficial.
Dude, anybody who wants to go, again, you could say if somebody was born in Israel, raised their whole life, came here and became an American citizen, you could say, but are they really American? They weren't born here. They didn't grow up with Captain K. No, they made
Well,
the
you become
move
a
you have to make.
naturalized citizen at that point. It's. I don't think there's an equation there. I think it's different because he can go back to Israel and become an Israeli again.
If he does that, then he's no longer an American. Okay? If Caitlyn Jenner decided, I want to be Bruce, rebuilt, reconstructed a penis, I would call him Bruce Jenner. And, but as of right now, as far as I'm concerned, Caitlyn Jenner could compete as a woman.
Yes, I would agree with that statement. My only thing is to say maybe what doesn't work is something binary, because I don't think that you could truly relate
100%.
from being born. She has a whole different set of pressures and issues and stigmatism about what
Yeah, she's a woman.
Yes.
I mean, they have the extra stuff that none of us have ever had to think about.
But she wasn't born into this world as a woman. So sometimes, the way that you are taught to be a female as a child,
Yes, and she had to go home like in 6th grade and put her mom's bathing suit on and try not to get caught.
I agree, and
That's a woman.
I would never say to her, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel," because I too had a bathing suit. You see what I mean? Like
You did have a bathing suit. And you had a very nice one.
my baby suit. When I was little, I didn't know it was called a bathing suit. I thought it was a baby suit, a
No,
suit for
here's the
babies
thing.
to wear in the pool.
If you were a better parent, you would correct her. But we just cracked up and said, "Yeah, you want to go swimming? You got to put on your baby suit."
and then like 2 years later, you're just like, "Wait, what are you saying? Bathing? That can't be right."
I remember when your mom said to me, "She nuts?" I go, I wouldn't say so much nuts. It's just scrambled. I accept, unlike Gail, I accept Caitlyn Jenner 100%. Being a woman is about nail polish, tresses, lipstick, purses,
brunch.
But good one, brunch.
Men don't like brunch?
No man has ever eaten a brunch.
Is this true?
Insanity.
I mean, at the same time, have you had a burger and an egg? Yeah, but you're not going to call it brunch the way a woman was. Also, we don't like to dilly-dally as long as you do it.
Oh, God.
I was going to say that I went to brunch with a man this weekend, but he's gay, so maybe that doesn't count.
He's gay, okay? Gays are welcome to brunch. Also, in New York City, brunch means a different thing than it does in the rest of the country.
What's it mean the rest of the country?
It means unlimited amount of food. It's a buffet situation.
Really?
Yeah, so you go over, you get a pork chop and scrambled eggs and ice cream and bacon, right? But here you're just like, oh, you have both items on. Oh, and it's more expensive. Great, then I'll have that.
It comes with a watered down cocktail? Sounds great.
Water it down, please.
Less booze.
But, a lot of times I think that men don't take to brunch is because half of the fucking Sundays out of the year, we're committed to football. All right?
That could be the issue.
That's not even an issue. That's like a commitment that you can't get out of.
It's a fucking 12-hour commitment.
Why don't you guys eat brunch during football? Like, why is football food always like wings and pizza? Why don't they have breakfast items since it starts pretty early?
Well, first of all, if you can get wings and pizza, what do you want? Scrambled eggs then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Like maybe like a nice eggs Benedict.
Normally during the game, I try to eat a cigar. Okay, maybe that makes me a little too masculine, but I got to fill in because we lost Bruce Jenner to the other side. He is woman, hear him roar. Caitlyn Jenner, I am 100%. I'm very impressed that you had the operation. I never thought it was coming. I would have lost money on this.
I at first when she transitioned, I thought maybe it was like for like a publicity stunt almost. And I thought
you just proved what
So
a piece of
fucked up.
garbage
I mean, you really are a piece of shit.
But with the
and this is your way of making America great again, Trump cuck.
But with the new vagina on her, you can't say anything bad about Caitlyn Jenner ever again.
She did.
Shit's wild.
She proved herself to me. I mean, if you can't give a person credit for making that kind of commitment, what's it take?
Chris, how would you feel about being with someone post-op? A woman post-op?
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
I'd give it a shot. Why not?
So you would be willing, if she'd have you, to date Caitlyn Jenner now?
I don't know about Caitlyn Jenner, but maybe some other post-ops. I don't know. Caitlyn Jenner seems a little on the older side.
That's all we have right now.
Okay, then I'll give it a shot. I'll see how it goes. Okay.
That's all I have is Caitlyn Jenner. I can't even think of another.
Curiosity alone.
What about the chick from Orange is the New Black?
Is she post-op?
I haven't asked her.
Priya?
Why do I feel like I taught him a new term and he's just going to keep saying
So post-opping, huh? That's that what we're doing?
So is she a post-op?
Yeah, if it's post-op, yeah, why not?
So that's all I'm asking is, or you be comfortable?
But you know what? I'm going to say something right now. You, if she would have you, would be with Bailey J in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and she's
I've heard you talking about Bailey J before.
And she's pre-op.
Yes.
She's never
she's never opted out. She's Bailey J.
Yes.
And Chris's entire generation fell in love with Bailey J.
They love her. And I don't blame them.
She's stunning.
I mean, she's so beautiful.
Stunning.
And I don't know. If you look at her dick, why would you get rid of it? It's great.
It's a nice one.
It's very nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
Oh,
no,
look who's doing Louis C.K. now.
No.
Seriously, you didn't start doing that till Louis C.K. did it on SNL.
Bullshit.
You're a wannabe.
My wife.
By the way,
I know. Louis great.
No, it's fucking my Borat impression.
No, it's Louis.
No, it's not. He doesn't own that.
He does.
Doesn't own that shit. Single-handedly bringing it back.
I got a break here, guys. I can't keep fucking around all day. I don't know whether we proved anything right here today. If I'm going to be totally honest, kind of feel like we missed quite a few marks this first hour of the show. Quite a few. We'll be right back. Oh, by the way, Chris, your bus ticket, 42 hours, 50 minutes. You thought it was going to be 30 hours?
37. I said 37.
I'm going to tell you right now. You're going to get a lot more time than that 42 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it.
There's going to be some layovers.
Some bumps in the road.
If you be willing to do that, we'll make sure you get paid the whole time. You'll just be paid to ride the bus back and forth to Vegas. You can be in Vegas for 5 hours.
A whole 5?
Yeah.
What would I
you
do
can
with
win.
myself all that time?
Well, you're going to win big. And then the only thing you do, if you win big enough to rent a plane to come back, then you can fly back on a plane. But I don't want
That's out of your pocket.
I don't want you flying coach like an animal. All right, we'll break back Bennington show. We're going to be down at Moon Tower next week. You can still pick up badges to be part of the Moon Tower Comedy Festival.
Go to austintheater.org to purchase a badge to the Moon Tower Comedy Festival. That badge will get you into all podcasts and all club shows. Hey.
I'm just laughing because it sounds like you said you could purchase a barge.
I heard it. Did you see me just try not to react?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to bust your balls for everything, but...
No, not for everything.
Birch.
I love this out of Miami. A guy was eating dinner. He was an Aussie rapper, they say, in the Aussie field, and he wanted Eminem to come have a rap battle against him in Australia. And then he said Eminem was scared. Not the fact that Eminem thought of it as zero as a career move, but the guy overordered, as you sometimes do in a Miami restaurant, and he ran out of the restaurant and dove into the water, and they couldn't get him to come back in. The lifeguards went out to him, the cops went out to him, and they couldn't get him to get on the beach.
You know,
he was just floating in the water.
It's not the best escape plan I've ever heard.
So then he got in and said, hey, the lobster was overpriced. Plus, Plus, he said a friend of mine was having a baby, and I went looking for her to make sure she was okay.
Like, what was his thought process? That it was just like maritime law out there?
Yes.
It's like, I owe you nothing out
I'm
here.
not on the planet Earth. There's nothing you can do to me. I'm not on land.
I only obey the laws of the sea.
Everyone has done the dine and dash. Dine and dive? No, I got to admit. I've never thought to myself, I got to get in the water and get out of this.
Just swim. But not swim away, just swim out. Just a little bit.
Well, where's he going to go? Spain? I mean, once you get out in that water, there's nowhere to do unless you start just swimming parallel to the beach.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to just walk along with you while you're doing it.
Treat that bill like the undertow, just like until you can get out of it.
Yes. So they said it was two of them. It came to $600 just eating lobsters in their fucking bare fist. It was like, this lobster wasn't so good. I'm going to dive in the water and get out of here.
This is worth $600.
It's like we just saw him do this. Like he just walks out and then walks into the water. There's nothing sneaky about it. He's like, ooh, goo. Let me get out of this bill.
I have, when I was younger, we'd always run out on fucking bills all the time. And you know, the funny thing is, we'd go back to that same restaurant, like about, a couple days later.
I recognize you.
That wasn't me. And I'd like some eggs, please.
It's not me.
Well, one time, it was a fucking Monday night. So we're watching Monday Night Football at this place. And we're like, fuck, we've been sitting here a long time and we're fucking drinking hard. How much money do you have? And we were figuring out that we did not have the money to pay. We just didn't. You know what I mean? We had eaten and drank more than we had. Okay? And we ain't the type of guys that do fucking dishes. It wasn't going to happen. So as we're getting like later in the night, we're like, we're going to have to fucking figure a way, and just be like, maybe one or two of us wanders out and the last guy makes a bold fucking move.
Right.
The fucking check shows up. It had to be twice as much as the money that we fucking had. I mean, we didn't have it. I wish we did. I wish I was a rich person. You'd get your money. So the fucking bill just comes over and it sits on the table. This buddy of mine, he fucking looks at the tab and he screams, I ain't paying for, he's really drunk. I ain't paying for this fucking shit. Throws his mug at the fucking big screen, then turns and runs straight into a table.
No chill whatsoever.
No fucking chill. Me and my other buddy goes, this could be a good time for us to start getting out of here. You know what I mean? Leave him to try to figure out what he's doing.
Like the thing is like there was a plan set in place that was very reasonable.
All that makes sense until one of you is blind fucking drunk.
Until one of you is just like, Leroy Jenkins.
He was in a bad fucking state of mind. I'm not gonna lie to you about that. But when you dine and dash in Florida, it's the worst fucking place because there's such strong hotel and restaurant people there. They got tougher laws there than any place ever. Vegas is another place you don't want to fuck around.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck around in Vegas. Vegas you should treat like a plane.
Yeah, that was one. I know a lot of young people did it, but it was not one that I never did. And maybe it has something to do with that. Like, I didn't want to do the time. I didn't want to do the crime all the time.
Plus, you got the money. Give me a call.
I was like, look,
fucking do
guys, this is on me. Ron Bennington's taking care of this one.
Ronnie B's buying everybody some fucking grapefruit and scrambled eggs.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
no meats. Stay away from the fucking meats. They try to fill you up on that. Sausage. We'll do some sausages in my house. For the same thing that you're
Very
eating,
reasonable.
I can buy fucking 10 pounds of sausage. Did you ever do the dine and dash?
In my teenage years, I did the dine dash, stoned or drunk off my face. Of the various, there's so many diners in Astoria. There's like one every fucking 4 blocks.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it was easy to just take that one off of the rotation. Like now we're just going to Bel Air, or now we're just going to Neptune.
Yeah, but you're right. There is an ending age where it's acceptable, but Adults will do it all the time.
They do, and sometimes it's just drunks. I've had it happen to me.
They don't know what they're wandering away from?
Yeah, that they just wander away. I mean, maybe they partially know what they're doing and they think they can get away with it because they're drunk. But yeah, adults do it, and they usually are intoxicated.
Dude, these two dads in my neighborhood, they're my friends' dads. They got fucking drunk, and they actually went in the register and fucking took money out of the register.
Holy shit.
And they got fucking popped for it, and we fucking hounded their kids. It was a Chinese fucking joint. And they said they were just drunk. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. But when you're a kid, you could barely understand that an adult can make a mistake. You know what I mean? And I couldn't get around my head, like, how... By the way, one of the guys was a cop.
Oh my God. So yeah, as a kid, when you hear something like that, you're like, what kind of animal doesn't know right from wrong?
I know. It is true. Like, you think all the adults know right from wrong when you're a little kid. Nope.
They're barely keeping it together.
Oh, you're right about that. Most people are right on the fucking edge here.
An inch away from a crime.
Did you see the video up on the iBang of the cruise ship on the rough seas? It may make you rethink your vacation.
Okay, so this is just very close off the coast, too. Like, it's always weird to see big, like, cruise ships or, like, tankers when they're, like, that close to the shore. But the fucking wind is going. They say it's high winds, but it's got to be, like, both. Because this thing just starts going
Well, if
on
you look
its
at the
side.
waves, they're not that big.
So you think the wind could just...
Yes. Well, that thing is really sitting high out of the water.
Yeah.
Shit.
Almost like nobody's in it. Looks like a cork. Like, have you ever seen a ship sitting that high?
No, it's really bizarre looking. Look at how far it goes on its side. That is so disturbing.
Did they say
looking.
where that is?
No, I didn't see where it is. It's so bizarre. I mean, I'm already, like, the idea of a cruise ship already freaks me out.
Too flowish.
Yeah, that feel like a prisoner of the sea.
Mm-hmm. You are a prisoner of the sea. Ask any mermaid you happen to see. You're not getting off this fucking thing.
And then to also have just the buffet talk that I've heard other people.
We got a spy report.
Spy report.
They just named the White House Correspondents dinner host. Now, this was always one of the greatest gigs a comic could get.
Yeah.
This year, no president there.
Right. So
I don't know whether it'll be rowdier or funny. Maybe it'll be even funnier that he's not there. Hassan Minaj got this.
Whoa, that is fantastic.
It's a great gig for him.
That is really, really big.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's going to get more attention because he's not there?
I think it could.
I think so, too.
Until next year when he does show up.
And that'll be huge.
Yeah.
It's the first one he went to, so it's a big deal.
But they should just fucking just uncork on him this year, because he's not there.
Right.
Ridiculous. Here's a story you'll like, Vito. Come on over and give me your expert opinion. The Philadelphia Phillies are putting up Showboat and Pete Rose on their wall of fame. Even though he can't get into the Hall of Fame, Philadelphia is saying, you belong on the Wall of Fame.
I mean, I love Pete Rose. I love it. Like, I'm glad that he's even on pre-games and stuff now because I just like getting to hear from the guy. And it's stupid that, like, if you look into the Hall of Fame, there's like women beaters and racists in there, and you won't let a guy
That's
in.
nothing to brag about.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm not bragging
That's his
about
Wall
it.
of Fame.
Women beating racists.
I'm saying,
By the way, a lot of times it's the same thing.
but it's ridiculous that a guy who bet on baseball, who I don't think ever threw a game. The guy was way too cocky.
He bet on his own team.
Yeah, he bet on his own team to win. He never threw a game. The guy should be allowed into the Hall of Fame. He's the hits king. There's no reason he
Man,
shouldn't be
I
in.
never knew that. I thought that the controversy was that he was betting on games that he lost and was throwing them.
No, he never bet against the Reds. He was the Reds manager at the time. He just liked a little extra action. It kept him fucking excited.
Yeah, that
Plus,
doesn't
he's like,
seem
this
so
is
bad.
easy money. We're going to crush the Dodgers.
And I always thought if you want to like just enforce the rule, why not ban him as a manager and let him in as a player? Because you can go in
I
as a
don't think
manager.
you can do both. I don't think Because they were always saying one of the reasons they didn't want to put him into the Hall of Fame is because they didn't want him managing, and all he thinks about is baseball and gambling. He'd be a great manager. He'd be great for the fucking sport today. He's the best baseball mind I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I was a kid when he was in Philadelphia. And he was a Red before that. We fucking hated him.
Yeah.
He came to Philadelphia. We went apeshit crazy. We were so excited. But not only was he a great player, but the players around him got better. Like Larry Bowa started fucking hitting like he was a hitter because Pete was basically a player manager even before he was a player manager. It was just good for everybody around him.
Why do you think that like his personality or just that he had talent?
Because he's also looking at people going, hey, you're hitching, or wait on this guy, or you're going to see,
Right.
I know him, you're going to see the low, you're going to see it low and outside. If you know where the pitch is, your ability to get a hit goes way up, right? The percentage wise. He had that thing. All he thought about was baseball, and he was, looking around the room, always trying to improve everybody, not just himself.
Right.
So to me, to me, he was probably one of the most exciting baseball players of my lifetime. And because he was playing for the Phils, it made it even more exciting.
And that was your first World Series win too, right?
Yes, Vito. 1980.
But that's any
I mean, don't try to run it down now to make it just
That's
the
not
first.
what I meant.
It was very fucking exciting for me.
That's not what I meant. I meant that's the kind of player that gives you that, like, for me, that's why we all love Mike Piazza so much. Even though we didn't win that World Series, like getting to the 2000 World Series is why every Mets fan.
All right, let me ask you this, since you love Piazza so much. Who had a better career, Mike Piazza or Pete Rose?
Pete Rose by far.
Okay. So remember that before you start bringing up Piazza during the Rose fucking thing.
And whose name kind of sounds like pizza?
Now, let me ask you this.
Both?
No.
Who is... Let's say, who's the Pete Rose of comedy right now? Who would you say? Showboat and Pete.
Rich Voss?
Voss is a great name. But
I was thinking...
By the way, Voss, since he started doing comedy, I think in 1982, he's gotten 200 hits every fucking season.
I was honestly thinking, because of the controversy, and he'll never get into any sort of Hall of Fame or anything like a Bill Cosby would be the Pete Rose.
Well, first of all, you're just trying to pick another Philly guy. And every woman that was with Pete, and there were plenty, was consensual. Okay?
I highly disagree with
every one of them got out of bed saying to myself, I was just there with a champion. I was with Showboat and Pete, the hit king.
See, that sounds like
fucking
Voss.
hit that shit.
It's a Saturday in August against the Mets.
No.
The game.
How many people will be there?
I'll be there.
Are you going to go down?
Yeah, I already talked to my friend who lives down there.
Don't put on a Mets hat, though. Have some fucking respect.
Yeah,
for Pete.
don't.
I wouldn't mind if you put on a Reds hat if you need to.
Okay, I'll wear a Reds hat.
Why wouldn't you just put on a fucking Phillies hat? They don't make one in your giant size?
I know that pain.
Got him, Ron.
Yeah. Everybody's bunched up right now in the standings.
Yeah, the whole division's tied at 3-3 or
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting year.
April baseball.
Who was the best hitter you ever saw in your life? What was your favorite hitter to watch?
Oh, well, to this day, I think it's still incredible to go see Ichiro.
How about you, Chris?
I love Paul O'Neill.
That's a homer, though. You're being a homer.
I still love Paul O'Neill.
I know, but the fact of the matter is, you're not talking like a baseball man. You're talking about a guy whose dad took him to a fucking game, and you saw Paul O'Neill.
Over Ichiro, actually, to this day, I still love A-Rod. And I was heartbroken when he disgraced baseball.
Oh, come on.
He had disgraced baseball 8 years before. You just finally fucking caught on to it. Anybody who was looking at his stats says this doesn't work. That's another thing about Pete. Nobody ever accused Pete of fucking taking a fucking steroid.
No,
Speedy did it by the fistful, but that's nothing.
I mean, the reason he's even the hit king is just if you watch most of those runs to first base, it's just not stopping ever. Like not slowing down before he gets to first base, never giving
Well,
up
you know
on a
where he
pop
got
fly.
Charlie Hustle from, right? Where the nickname came from?
No,
because he used to run out walks, and Charlie Hustle was the older guys making fun of him to be like, "Oh, look at Charlie Hustle," but he would get walked right ball four, and he would chuck the bat behind him, and just see him take off down fucking first. And I remember that. And then I stole this thing from him because I read one of the kids' books when I was playing. But the thing is, if you walk to first, right, the game hasn't stopped. So when Pete was a kid, he would, go down to first, keep going to second base. So I fucking read this in a book. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking do this tonight. So I'm down playing for Linwood Sunoco, part of the Mickey Vernon League. And I get a walk and I just fucking keep heading. I just start running to second base. And all the kids are just pointing like, hey! And I fucking go into second and the umpire calls me safe. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking do that every time they ain't paying attention. They used to have to put a guy over, the shortstop used to have to come over and cover second, or I'd fucking take it every time. That's why when I got a hit, I'd be a little disappointed. Like, I can't do that fucking walk thing now, that I'm known for. I'm kind of the fucking Pete Rose of this organization. I love Pete. I tried to do the fucking diving instead of sliding with your feet. You go face first into the bag.
Like a forward
Yeah,
slide,
like you Superman dive into the fucking bag. That was all Pete.
I don't even know which one would be more painful because I've seen those like the kind of bruises you get on your thighs, but then what happens to your belly when you do that slide?
You scrape it up a little bit.
Oh,
every day, Tim says, every day I listen hoping to find something to agree with Ron on. From Cincinnati, Pete's Tops. Oh, you gotta love Showboat Pete. I don't know how you could like the game of baseball and not like Pete. Somebody wrote in that Artie would be the Pete Rose because he's a workhorse. He played in the majors and he gambles.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, Artie's not a bad one at all. Hey, Randy, what's up, buddy?
Yo, what's up, Ronnie?
Hey.
Hey, I'm always fucked up on drugs and shit, but I know that the Major League Hall of Fame is making a joke of itself with this Pete Rose thing. He is arguably the greatest baseball player in history, and then every year they keep doing the same old bullshit where they're like dangling the carrot in front of them, and they're a bunch of little sport writers. They never played baseball in their life. They're a bunch of fucking pussies.
I know. All right, thanks. That has nothing to do with it. But, I don't know if you even say Pete's the greatest leadoff guy in history. Ty Cobb was the lead, right?
I think so. I'm not sure.
And Chris, what about your guy growing up?
Oh, Rick Anderson?
Yeah.
He was fucking amazing.
But I know that he's amazing, but we're trying to have a baseball conversation. You don't just end it there. He doesn't have the hits that Pete has, doesn't have the batting average Pete has, but the stolen bases, the fucking... See, the thing is, Pete didn't like to walk the way your guy did. Your guy would fucking walk no matter what. Pete wanted his hits.
I don't think anyone's ever going to touch that stolen base fucking record because people just aren't doing it.
Yeah, they don't care about it.
Yeah.
They found out it's not as positive. They've changed everything that, all the stats that matter.
People don't steal bases as much?
No.
Nowhere near as much.
This has been this year, even like this year, home runs have like had an upsurge for the first time in like since the steroid era.
Yeah. But when I was a kid, Mike Schmidt would win the National League home run with like 37 home runs. You know what I mean? And after the steroid era, that was like, oh, what are you, a fucking second baseman? And he would win, I'm not even kidding. I don't know how many times he even went over 40 and he had 500 in his life.
Yeah,
he's only been over 40 like once or twice probably.
Yeah, like the last few years have been weird where the only guy people have really been looking at for home runs is Giancarlo Stanton from the Marlins.
Well, now it's going to be Tim Tebow, the home run king.
He's jacked.
And he has Jesus on his side.
He does have Jesus on his side, that's for sure.
He talks to him in public.
Every day the Spicer's out there fucking swinging from the hips.
I know. Spicy works hard.
He can't last much longer. It seems like that's the most exhausting fucking job. Just go out there and fucking talk shit to reporters the entire day.
don't think he's supposed to talk shit. It's just what he does. I don't think anyone's had that as part of their job title.
It's always odd when Chris puts himself into a position like that. Hey, play the mall rap song, would you? This could be. Well, I think it's up to you to decide either the best classic viral video or worst local commercial. But it does get stuck in your head. Can't find it, Chris?
Here it is.
East Hills, we're back to school. Denim, haircut, backpacks, come get your backpack.
Boots and pants and boots and pants.
New shoes, get yourself an outfit. Denim,
Boots and pants and boots and pants.
haircut, new shoes. So get yourself back to school with East Hills.
Haircut, boots and pants and boots and pants.
Backpack, come get your backpacks. She's the best one in the whole video.
I don't know. I like boots and pants.
Boots and pants and boots and pants.
What is this? The East Hills?
East Hills. Yeah, this is like one of those classic
1980s.
Yeah, classic viral videos. You always like. I forget about this one, but it's maybe one of the best of all.
Where's East Hills? What are we looking at?
I don't know where it is.
I mean, you couldn't get a more generic name than East Hills.
Looks like Missouri.
Nassau County?
All right.
Okay, which is it, guys?
How many East Hills are there?
There's an East Hills, New York, and Nassau, Long Island.
Well, East Hills Mall is what we're looking for.
East Hills Mall is in Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri.
I never even heard of St. Joseph's, Missouri.
It's made up.
Is that where the fucking baby aspirin comes from?
But the idea that they couldn't get one person, it's not like one person sticks out as not being a good singer. It's like they took every single person. They're like, maybe if they're all bad, it'll cancel each other out. Like even the little girl that they choose to sing the opening and ending is completely tone deaf.
Dude, it's so funny. We're talking about this. I was watching Fox today. They put on a Johnny Bench fucking commercial. First of all, Johnny Bench hasn't played since like the 70s. And they were like, Johnny Bench, can you still put 7 balls in your hand? And he's like, no, now I've changed it to, and it's some product I never heard of before. And that was the end of it. And I'm like, this thing looked like it got shot in a garage. The product had blue in its name. See if you can find it. But I think it might have been on like
Blue Emu.
Perfect. That's it. See if you can find the commercial. All right. No, this doesn't look like the one that I saw. All right, here. Yeah, this is it. All right. First of all, give me sound. All right, go ahead.
Excuse me. Aren't you Johnny Bench?
That's right.
Is it true that you can hold 7 baseballs in one hand?
I don't do that anymore.
Johnny Bench keeps his legend alive with the help of Blue Emu products. Stay legendary. Blue Emu. It works fast and you won't stink.
I don't even know what it is. And I saw that this morning on Fox. I'm like, oh man, people really are dumping out of their commercials.
Oh my God.
Blue Emu's getting cheap.
Well, do you know what they are? What they are? What kind of product? He said they don't stink.
Yeah, but I thought it was a cream.
It looks like he was using a hand cream.
It's the original super strength pain relieving cream.
What? They didn't say anything about that, did they?
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought maybe it was a lotion.
Do they think that we know Blue Emu so much? It's like Coke. They don't have to explain what it is. Now, what is he holding there?
Cheeseburgers. He's
got
full of cheeseburgers.
I was like, when I was looking at it, I was like, that's not even a like, I was like, what are these, like a bunch of macaroons? He's holding
First of all, I could squeeze fucking 7 cheeseburgers in my hand. All you gotta do is squeeze down.
That's not impressive. This is so bizarre.
I like the pause before he just slowly lifts his hand up. It's very fucking creepy.
I don't do that anymore.
Oh my God, it's so awkward. It's so awkward.
Johnny Bench keeps his legend alive with the help of Blue Emu products.
With all Blue Emu products.
But what does that have to do with cheeseburgers?
Nothing.
Like it should be a cheeseburger commercial.
And you won't stink. That's the craziest shit ever.
That's a fantastic commercial.
And it has local commercial timing.
It does.
Like those like awkward pauses.
Yeah, you would think maybe this would play in Cincinnati where you don't have to explain to who Johnny Bench is. But in any kid that was born after, I'm going to say 90, maybe even before, maybe even 1980, you're not going to know Johnny Bench.
No.
Did you know who Johnny Bench was?
No, I didn't.
Chris?
Yes, I knew who Johnny Bench was.
Thank you, Chris.
Didn't know what Blue Emu was, though.
Here's Ray. Ray, what's up, buddy? Ray, we got you, pal? Once, twice. Here's Tim. Tim, go ahead.
It's really weird. I called to talk about Pete Rose, but now you're talking about Johnny Bench, and it just
Yeah, we're gonna get to George Foster and Joe Morgan in a minute.
I was going to say that all of those guys are living gods in Cincinnati. There's streets named after them. They can do no wrong here, and it's just funny that you transitioned from Rose to Bench.
Well, I will say this:
and go through the whole Big Red Machine.
If I had to think of what's the greatest baseball team I ever saw in my life, I think it has to be the Big Red Machine. I mean, that was just everybody could hit for power. They were fucking cocky. They were past cocky. They were just straight confident. They were like shocked when they didn't win. And the best World Series I ever saw in my life was Red Sox.
And Pete Rose used to slide in the first base head first.
Yeah, Pete, you gotta love him. I know before he came to Philly, my Little League team, we were at a game, and it was, you go all up together, and we were all, during the warm-ups, we're all razzing fucking Pete. Like, we were just fucking calling him showboat and all that kind of shit. And there is debate whether Pete gave us the finger or the fist up yours. But we did get a hand gesture from Pete. I align on the side of he gave us the finger, but I'm not ashamed if it was give us the old up yours like the Italians did. Either way, it may have been the best part of our childhood.
Pretty amazing.
And we went fucking crazy. We were so happy. And because
we love you for that.
Pete was looking directly at us while we were calling him a homosexual showboat. And they stomped our shit that night, too. But we were just sitting there like, it was great with Pete. We went over and told the fucking stupid coaches. And I always remember there was a fucking showboating ball player for Philadelphia. His name was Willie Montanez. And he used to come to the plate. He had a brown bat, and he would flip the bat the whole time that he was going. And every catch that he had in the outfield was a circus catch. There was no, every catch was at his shoe tips.
Right.
He would lean back and then come running in so he could catch it right off his shoelaces, right? I fucking loved him. And my coach goes like this: I wish I was coaching this team for one day. First day, I'd fire Willie Montanez. And I go, dude, you're fucking coaching Little League. Why, I go, this is like, it's a nuttier thought for you to act like you can go on and coach a major league team than if any of us had a fantasy of playing in the major leagues. We have a better chance.
Right.
We're less idiotic than you. Fucking guy hated me. But I had to point that out to him. Don't fucking act like because you're coaching a bunch of children that suddenly you understand who should be in the big leagues or not.
Right.
Being like showboating.
Well, he was fucking wrong because Willie made every fucking, we're in last place. He made every fucking game fucking it's just exciting.
And you couldn't make a kid like someone more than by saying an authority figure hates that person. Like, then he must be great. He must be doing everything right.
That's what you want to be like. Shit.
I'll whip him into shape.
I don't think that guy could have.
On SiriusXM Icons, Ron just described Peter Wolf as the one that gets you on the feet or leans back and breaks your heart. First of all, I don't remember saying that, but I love it. I fucking love it. Hey, Phil in Cleveland.
Hey, Ron, I this is a good conversation. I just was curious. I was a little young when it happened, but how did Pete Rose end up going from Cincinnati to Philadelphia?
Well, in the 70s, free agency started in the 70s, and I remember that he was getting paid $1 million. $1 million, and everybody was going, what? That fucking team should be worth $1 million, not any one player. We couldn't believe that somebody who played baseball would get $1 million. Because you got to remember when Pete started in the 1960s. In the off season, he sold cars.
Wow.
He fucking went to work selling cars. I always remember this too. Pete, who, they always thought was, they always treated him like he was classless with money. That is, there was a thing, they had a picture of his wife. She was taking their Rolls Royce to Kmart. She went to she drove to Kmart in a Rolls Royce, got out and bought fucking bargain stuff, right? But so they were asking Pete in this article I read when I was a kid about Joe DiMaggio. And they were saying, isn't it awful? Isn't it sad to see Joe DiMaggio on TV calling himself Mr. Coffee and selling a coffee maker,
Yeah.
And Pete's like, what? It's a good product, and he's getting paid a lot of money. This is great. And they were kind of, the article was written like, Pete doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what he should be doing, with his life. He lacks the moral fortitude. And now, of course, anyone would get on and fucking, they'd sell nuclear bombs if you paid them money.
Yeah.
No matter who it was. But at the time, Joe DiMaggio was so well respected that it broke people's hearts to see him doing a commercial.
That's so strange to think how different.
We had the word, the sellout word was a very big fucking phrase when I was a kid. The worst way that you could hate a band was calling them sellouts. And that's what people said about Styx and Foreigner and Journey. They were called corporate rock. They didn't have what we considered soul.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were talking to Robbie Robertson. All of his lead singers had incredible soul. You know what I mean? That band was the exact opposite of the South. They weren't trying to make hit songs. They were the real deal. So when you saw a band that was trying to, I'll just throw it out there, Kiss, that you were like, hey, we're trying to have it. Kiss had never hid behind the fact that they just wanted to be commercial no matter what. They just wanted to make money. And that's why, when you have a Hall of Fame, do you put those kind of bands in? Now we do.
Yeah.
Now we do. Now fucking Journey goes in. Quite frankly, Yes goes in. We got a break here, Chris?
Yes, we do.
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, also, the new Gail Meets Girls is up. You can go to theinterrobang.com to download. Jessica Curson and Carmen Lynch were my guests, and they were hilarious, so go check it out.
All right. We're right back. This is Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington.
Thanks.
Zoe Friedman's in studio. Zoe's the former booker for The Late Show with David Letterman. She was part of Mitch Hedberg, A Life in Comedy, which aired last year. And Zoe's currently the Senior Vice President of Development for Warner Brothers' digital studio, Blue Ribbon Content.
Zoe, you've had one of the more interesting careers in comedy, I think, of anybody.
I love my career in comedy.
Yeah, you grew up in it, right?
I did. I would not say literally, but I might have literally been born into it. I think I was hearing comedy while I was in my mom's womb, for many years. So just for your listeners, so my parents started the Improv in 1963. And
which, by the way, started everything. I mean, you can't, to start it. Coming up next, all that stuff that we think of as normal, they had to invent.
Right, and invent as they went along.
Yeah.
So the brick wall, which has now become sort of the iconic symbol of stand-up, was a happy accident. My dad's not very handy. They had no money. There was a brick wall. It was a Vietnamese restaurant prior on 44th and 9th, and they left it because they had no other choice, or again, not very handy, not very much money, and there the brick wall was born. Wow. And it started as a coffee house, but there are a lot of coffee houses downtown in the village, and folk music sort of focused, and stand up and sort of that movement. But they opened it in the theater district. So my mom was on Broadway. She was a singer, and she was in like How to Succeed and Damn Yankees and Fiorello.
And this is your mom Silver? Or?
Yes, my mom is Silver.
Yeah.
And then they met, and then they talked about this idea, which was kind of a coffee house where theater people can go afterwards. And my father went right out the next day and found a space, and and
the thought was, hey, theater people would love to come out and sing a song.
Let their hair down, like there was sardies, which were for the stars, because they could afford sardies, and there was, Downey's, I think, the bar, which was for everybody. But this was a place they can come and sing and, improvise. I mean, honestly, and then it evolved into the club it was, and there was no such thing, right? They were making it up as there were spaces to perform. There was, the Atlantic City, the Vegas, the, opening up for music. It wasn't his own thing yet.
But they weren't thinking, oh, we're going to make stars. They're just like, hey, what a great place for talented people to hang out.
They loved the creative process. They loved actors. They loved performers. They were performers. I mean, my mom was a performer. My dad was a wannabe performer and producer and entrepreneur. And they wanted it as a place to have people be able to come and eat some pumpernickel bread. I don't know what they served. They had a wild menu.
And the early people that were there were who? Do you remember some of the names?
Yeah, it was, like Bobby Morse, like not stand-ups, right? Like Michelle Lee, like people who were on Broadway would come over. And then, the times were changing, right? It was 1963 and civil rights and Kennedy assassination. And I think comedians were evolving, what their role was in society, right? And so, they didn't build the stage for this, but I think it almost became like a permanent soapbox for the new generation of comedians, which early on were like Robert Klein and, Richard Pryor. And Richard used to do improv with Marty Harvey Freeberg and J.J. Barry and Ron Carey and look these people up, everyone, because you will recognize them. Rudy DeLuca, I just watched High Anxiety with my son, and Rudy DeLuca, that tinsel teeth, so,
great.
It was so funny.
And Ron Carey was always one of my favorite people in the world.
So good.
But we just had Klein in here not too long ago. And that thing of being like the first kind of conversational, they became like this conversational. But it had to be amazing times to just be in the club. I know Bette Midler was there when she was young.
She was. She was I believe she was a waitress, and they had singing waitresses.
Crazy, right?
That is so wild.
And my dad managed her for a short while. Jay Leno and Bette Midler, and vowed if I ever went to management, he would disown me.
Why is that?
Because you get dumped. Because, I always used to ask, what's the difference between agent and manager? They're like, same thing, you just eat dinner with the family if you're the manager.
Right.
Like that's,
the manager gets more involved in the
family and the bigger scope. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, you as a manager, you put a lot in, and then they move on and dump you. And so he didn't want that for me. I mean, he never gave me too much kind of he gave me guidance, but it wasn't like, don't do this, don't do that. Be in comedy, don't be a manager,
Right.
So, but because he lost them and learned that, so Bette Midler was there. She was singing waitress, and, I should have done a little prep for that. But there was, and of course I was young.
We had a very well-known actor, Chris, you remember this, who said he worked the door. You remember?
Danny Aiello.
Danny Aiello is right.
He worked the door.
Danny Aiello loved that place. Loved it.
He worked the door. He was very much like.
I mean, he was just he wasn't performing. Or
no, he was working the door. As a matter of fact, at one point, I remember David Brenner telling me a story where he's like, he went to a play and Danny was in it, and he couldn't. He was like, "What? The door guy is in a play," because they all thought that he was the intimidating door guy.
And then he's like crying on stage.
Yeah. And he turned into this really great actor. But I don't think that he was telling the people at the club, I'm doing the same thing happened with Bruce Willis when he was a bartender. He didn't tell the people that, and all the actors used to go to that same bar. He never told anybody. And then, all of a sudden he's in a Sam Shepard play, and then he's on television after that.
He was at the play. He worked at that place. Columbus. Or
Central.
Columbus Cafe.
Yeah, but no, it was the Central.
It was Central, right? It was
and it was the one that everybody used to go to. Like when people used to go out every night. Before the internet, everyone, if you wanted to hear stuff, you had to go out. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So people would go out to get news of the day. And that's kind of sad that kind of and people don't drink the way they used to, you know. But saloon life was a big part of New York City.
Yeah,
big part of New York City.
Yeah, and I guess that is also the case. Like, even if, let's say, you go out and see certain comedians or performers that you know you like, I think more often people are putting themselves in a position where, like, well, I have to check out to see if I'm going to like this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not, maybe people would be less willing to take the risk if they could see something like, oh yeah, that's okay, maybe I won't go out.
But, you know, like Elaine's in New York, you were part of making that place great by your own conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You would go out and you would act like, oh, I don't see Woody Allen walking past me right now because I'm very, very cool.
Yeah.
You know? But that was great. To me, that's, you know, and the improv. I mean, I don't even know where you would put this in terms of what it means for comedy. It's above. Because, like, even Catch, they're like, oh, we're going to do what the improv is doing. But 10 years later, you know what I mean? 12 years later.
Everything, like, again, that brick wall, which is this strange, iconic, was this accident. And I just think it's amazing that people put them in or put the fake. I mean, they did it at the LA Improv, they put the fake in, you know.
Yeah.
But it really started a whole different type of venue for performance, for stand-up.
Yeah. That hasn't really lost its...
Well, it certainly has gone up and down. Certainly, like the sort of, when was it? You know, the evening at the Improv and Caroline's and all that, like in the late 80s, right? Certainly hurt live comedy. It did, you know, but then I think people realized going to see live comedy and seeing it is a whole different experience. You know, I love to laugh. I try to go out to the clubs, and even if I don't love who's on, I love to sit and like hear other people laugh and have that sort of tribalizing sort of experience around laughter, because you can laugh at home.
Right.
That's great, and you should, but go out and see it with people. I do fundraisers a lot. I really feel comedy is like transformational in terms of, you know, you can raise money with it, you raise the vibration and all of that.
Yeah.
And I do, you know, a ton, and people go, you know, people from parents from my son's school, I do the fundraiser, they're like, I don't know why I don't see stand-up more. I loved it. Like, and then they forget about it, you know? I don't know. You know?
Yeah, it's never going to be at top of mind, because if you say to people, oh, you go to clubs, like, oh yeah, I do. You go like 3 times a year. You know what I mean? And they think that that's a lot.
Yeah. That's better than a lot.
It is.
That's like how I go to the gym 3 times a year.
But, you know, do you think with Netflix doing all this extra stuff that this could be another oversaturation?
I think it's possible, but I think it is that people are savvy, and I think the fans will go see it. I mean, I feel like when I go to the clubs in LA, they're mostly crowded. They get, now I'm sure they're papered, and, you know, it's social media and all of that, and discounts here or there, but it does feel it's vibrant. And by the way, I had an experience in it. I went down to the Cellar last night because I'm in New York, and I don't get to, if I'm with my son, I don't get to, you know, go out and see the stand-up. So I go. It was so crowded. I didn't call to make any. It was Monday night. I was like, they have 2 clubs. I'll go down. I couldn't get in. And I was seeing an old friend, and I could have pushed, but I was kind of like, we'll go hang out over here.
First of all, no one would have flipped out if he'd known that you were there. He would love to see you come in.
I know.
But they're like that all the time right now.
It's crazy.
Gotham is doing great numbers. The Stand packed all the time. It's another one of those golden times. But the Underground, did you get to see the room?
I didn't.
Oh, God, I'd love to take you down there, because it was an old village place that they haven't done too much to, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It looks and feels just the way you would want a comedy club to feel.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't. And then we ended up, you know, I was catching up with a friend. I was like, I want to talk rather than hear somebody talk at me.
Right.
But I'll come next time, you know.
They would go crazy for you.
Yeah, I saw a few people, comics outside that I saw Jim Norton, I saw Derek Gaines. So I said,
Derek Gaines is, he's one of my favorites right now. That kid works so hard.
He does.
Yeah.
You know, he was trying to remember a joke he made. I was like, you didn't record, you know, you weren't recording? He goes, no. I go, that is like rule number 1. You always record. You have a fucking... Oh, sorry.
No, you can.
Okay,
yes, you can.
I figured. It's you can, you know, record. Why? And he was like sitting there pulling his hair out. I don't know what joke it was.
Derek Gaines and Monroe Martin, they do almost different sets every time they go up. And I'm like, you guys, are you trying to finesse this thing at all? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Are you sort of refining it?
But right now, they're just like something happened today, and they'll go and do
Right.
15 minutes on it.
He's a hard worker, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's paying off. I mean, he has some shows out there. I know his game show's not coming back, but.
Yeah. So you're still, because I don't know whether Chrissy meant this, you were with Letterman for many, many years.
I was there for about 10 and a half years, and I booked the comedians and produced comedians for probably on my own for about 5, while I was assisting before, but
right.
It was like the right job for me. I mean, that specific job.
You're now, did Dave work the Improv in LA, or was he just with Mitzi?
More so with Mitzi, so I
Yeah.
didn't have that relationship with him. I didn't know him from my childhood.
Right.
Where a lot of the comics that came on, I did.
Right.
But he's aware of my family, and he, I think, worked at the Improv a little bit. But
Right.
It was definitely
But that was Mitzi that said you couldn't do both, right? It wasn't so
Yeah.
much your dad.
I think it was both. By
Right.
the way, I know my mom, when she ran the New York Improv, it was very territorial, and
Right.
she's very about loyalty.
Yeah.
So she perpetuated that, I am sure. And I imagine my dad, they have egos. It was
Yeah.
definitely there were only a few, so it was so different. There
were certain comics who were allowed to do both.
At some
If you were big
eventually.
enough.
Right. Yes, that's right.
Like Louis Anderson just went and did both, and then he would just let himself get yelled at. And
Jay
wouldn't-
Leno did
Yeah.
both, I think at the time, and prior.
Well, people were afraid of your mom, Silver. They were afraid to be on her bad side.
Yeah, she can be scary, man.
Yeah,
she lives in my guest house, by the way. Talk to my husband and son about it. My mom doesn't know what serious is. So
That's good. Or else we'd all be in trouble right
exactly.
now.
We'd all be like, sorry, Silver. And I think it's interesting, that show, Comedy on the Edge, the one that's coming. Oh, no, I'm Dying Up Here. Is that the show?
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
So it's of the era of the 70s, when the Comedy Store and the Improv moved to LA, or opened in LA, and it's supposed to be more at Comedy Store, but the woman who runs it, her name's Goldie.
Right.
So Melissa Leo plays the club owner.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's sort of a weird coincidence, or it feels like it's more of amalgamation, because why would you pick Goldie if you have a woman? One of the few female club owners is named Silver.
And she seems more like Silver than she does,
does she, Mitzi?
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it, and she's like. She's East Coast. You know what I mean? She's real East Coast.
Oh, that's funny. I can't wait to see it.
But you can imagine how tough Silver had to be running a club in New York City during those years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was scary enough to come in and out of the city then. Yeah.
And no matter what, if you're running a business, you have to be a tough cookie no matter what. But then also to add dealing with comedians on top of it, which I'm sure getting those schedules down and getting them to commit. I mean, that has to be
comedians are very difficult to work with. Because each one of them they think about themselves. And when you try to put it together into one big show, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's very difficult. But I mean, I will say this, that as tough as she is, she definitely loves the creative and the creators and the artists. So she was very tolerant on some things and then intolerant on others.
But
right?
There's no way a comedian understands that it isn't just you can't run the light. We have a show put together. Right. This show stops at a certain time so we could change the room. And just somebody that doesn't understand that and goes, but I was killing. I'm trying to tell you. You know what I mean?
I don't care.
It's great that you're killing, but we've got to do 3 shows on a Saturday.
Right.
And there's that impossibility is why a theater group works together, you know what I mean, and they think we're all in this together. Very rare to comics do
I think that's interesting. I agree. They're the only job, I'm on my own, I am my own boss apart from the person who's going to book me maybe on the stage. And I remember the year that I think Saturday Night Live booked Dave Attell and Sarah Silverman and a few other sort of rising comedians at the time. I was like, that's going to be a terrible year on Saturday Night Live. Super talented comics, but you got to give, you're in sketch, maybe improv, that's not stand-up.
Yeah,
it's a
because
different skill.
Improv artists tend to they'll be willing to give up a joke for the bit to work.
That's right.
For the sketch to go over, and they honestly think about it like a success for the troupe. It's a success for everyone.
They're all together. But I had
Not
talked.
stand-up.
Jay Moore had a terrible time on Saturday Night Live. that show was built for him. If he knew how to understand how that system worked.
Or the politics of
the politics of it. Instead, he got furious and, whatever. It's very hard for a stand-up. But if you look like Bobby Moynihan, who came out of that, a lot of times I'm like, oh, man, you should even be using Bobby more. You see him on that show, and he's happy every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's been on for 7 years.
Yeah.
And he can make that show work, and he can help that show. But there's been a lot of stand-ups that hit the wall at SNL.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure that a part of it does have to do with losing your individuality a little bit.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. Yeah.
And if a comic is working on, probably not all of them would call it this, but you're working on a character, you're working on an image, and that image is yourself. And so I think that also to then say, like, now you're going to be like this stupid guy who does
put
a
on
dumb,
a wig.
and they're like, that's not me.
Stand-ups aren't necessarily silly. They can be funny. They're smart. They can be subversive. They're not necessarily. Some are. Lenny Schultz.
Lenny Schultz. Small pigs, Lenny. Small pigs.
For a young 8-year-old girl, Lenny Schultz was. Andy Kaufman also. Like, these were comics who were so playful that were awesome for my sister and I.
So you would be a kid and be with Andy.
Yeah, well, Andy
Kaufman.
used to host Children's Cabaret. So, because I think I went at night, but I was young, right? I started going more when I was a teenager, when my mom was running the club here. After we moved back from LA, I would go a lot with my friends. Like, after dancing, we'd go at 3 in.the morning and see Mario Cantone perform for an hour at 3 in.the morning. It was great. But when I was a kid, Andy Kaufman was performing, and both my parents loved him. And there's not much communal history that shares. It's a lot of he said, she said with my parents. But the Andy Kaufman story of him sort of coming in and saying he was from some island off of the coast of somewhere as his foreign man, which Laka. And they both were like, he's really interesting. And when he's on stage, he's such a performer. And they didn't know until weeks later that he was not that foreign guy. So he totally duped them.
Because he would come in that way.
He would come that way. Hello, I'd like to go off stage. And they both bought it until they heard, I think, about in this show. In the bar talking about it. But they both loved him. Anyway, he hosted Children's Cabaret, which was a once-a-month show on Sunday afternoons for up-and-coming, children performers, which right here I was. That's all I wanted to do when I was a kid. So I did my cartwheels. I might have sung a few songs with my sister. She played the violin. We had a good in. And he hosted. And then we all get to vote whether he would be Mr. Mean, which was the Tony Clifton character, foreign guy, or Elvis. And we got to, and he would bunny hop us around Times Square.
Wow.
I have this awesome photo that he would, and that was the best. For a kid, he was so creative and so awesome. So,
but he would turn into Tony Clifton in front of the kids.
Yeah, so we get to go. We call it Mr. Mean. I don't even know if Tony had a name yet. It was Mr. Mean. We were kids, So
that's amazing.
So he was a big part, And my parents were also good to not bring it home too much. Like I had, I was a kid. It was appropriate. Jay Leno would sleep on our couch.
Is that
That's
right?
And he would sleep almost butt naked, and we'd wake up and there was this big guy on our couch, you know, and he used to, he has that prominent chin, and he also is a big carnivore. I don't know, he eats a lot of meat, or used to car guy and whatever. And so my parents would say, if you don't eat your vegetables, your chin's going to grow. Uncle Jay. So my sister and I, my sister's full vegetarian. I barely eat meat. So those are
because of Leno's chin.
Because of Leno's chin.
I know that your dad was proud that both Jay and Jimmy were regulars there, and that he had this connection to the Tonight Show now.
Yeah.
That those guys went on to become Tonight Show hosts.
And both very grateful, right?
Yeah.
Comics also, independent, not always so grateful because they're in their own heads. Jimmy, super, explicit about his gratitude to my dad, and Jay to the club, and my parents, my dad. Yeah, they're both. So that's exciting.
But that's got to feel amazing for your father. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Could look back over his life and been one of the people that shaped his life. From the time Bill Graham did it with rock and roll, you know what I mean? That he was there to support young performers until they become superstars. And you got to say Bud Friedman was absolutely involved in that.
That's true. Yeah. Both Tonight Show hosts of the last, 40 years. So
Yeah, it's crazy. Now you are working for who now?
So I work for Blue Ribbon Content, which is a Warner Brothers, I'm a digital division of Warner TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I oversee comedy for digital platforms. So it's kind of what I did. After Letterman, I went to Comedy Central. I was development executive there, and I developed shows. And sort of doing the same thing, but we're studios, so we have to sell it to make it. So I buy, identify, develop, and then have to go out and sell. And I sell to like these platforms that certainly none of my friends know. You might know because you're younger than me. We might, but like the YouTube Red, the CISO, the full screen, the new kind of ASFA, the CWC. So there's a place.
Yeah, I just did something for Big J that went on CISO. His what's your fucking deal? So I think my thing is just came out today.
Oh, really?
For that. Yeah,
that's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
But that that CISO platform is suddenly more and more people involved in it. When I first heard about it, I go, I don't know if that'll work. But these people know more about the future of where entertainment.
They know either. But we're moving into a direction of this, screen merge. Maybe,
right?
I mean, content is content. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you whatever it is. It could be short form. It could be long form. Everything's moving into more long form. Like when I started, it was like 10-minute episodes, and everybody wants half hours. And
is that right?
It's changing. I mean, the platform, it's like the whole landscape itself in 2.5 years since I've been there has been like 180 degrees different. Like I had no place to sell original, scripted comedy when I started. And now that's all people want.
No, so you're saying that the trend is going longer again. So now I wonder if that is reactionary from Netflix and binge watching, that people settle into things, because first it was very much like digital shorts,
but
and
broadband
funny.
has gotten stronger too.
Well, that's it. The technology comes up. I think it's exactly to your point. Everybody wants to be Ted Sarandos. Everybody wants to be at the Emmys, or now the Oscars with Amazon and Manchester by the Sea. So everybody wants to do this premium cable. That's what they're calling it. The SVODs, the subscription video on demand. They're like premium. Like YouTube Red isn't even like doing digital things with their influence. They just want premium stuff, and that's great. And they have money and they can pay, but we're also supposed to figure out at Blue Ribbon, how do you tell stories mobily? Because you can watch an hour show on your phone. There are better ways to watch an hour show, I think. But I think it's just how people are getting their content. I think content is content, right? And it's evolving because people want to go to the Emmys and people want to be recognized for this, content. But that takes more than just, throwing a lot of money at. Sometimes
well, that's the interesting thing too. If you look at the stand-ups, they were okay. It's going to take me years to get into a network, But now the young guys immediately start working on these web series.
Yep.
And they haven't been doing stand-up that long.
They could be doing it themselves. First of all, you can shoot, edit. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do on your own. Or the podcast world, I think it is the time of a comic can make their own brand, and then they have more power. I mean, the Broad City women, their manager sent me that when I was Comedy Central, early on when they were just making them and putting them up themselves, and I was like, Comedy Central, not the place for it because we were still very male at the time.
Yeah.
And I said, just have them keep doing it. And that's what they did. And then by the time they were found by Polar and came back to Comedy Central, they had done so many episodes and had such a defined point of view. And Amy saw them, and nobody's going to say, no, Amy, you're wrong. They had a lot of leeway creatively because they had already figured out what their show was because they were able to keep shooting and editing and posting.
But it wasn't that many years ago that people wondered, hey, will people watch Amy? You know what I mean? Oh, she's funny and she's open for some big comics. But what was that, 5 years ago that, that breakthrough took place for her? Wasn't that long ago at all. And now no matter what she says, everybody's commenting on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she has become a big voice in comedy. Huge.
One of the biggest.
And that's a big step too, is that not only is it about your own stuff that you could put your wing over someone and go, this is what I'm going to work on, and people are going to go, yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not only that you've made a reputation for yourself, that you are trustworthy, not just oh yeah, if you're in it, then we'll buy it.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So that really, takes a certain type of finessing, and who knows how that even comes about, right place, not right place at the right time, but
it was. I think that I think so simplistic, right? Bridesmaids came out, right? And they opened a movie. Women opened a movie. And I feel like that changed everything. And then it was the time for the Amy. I mean, Sarah was already out there, and Amy in Broad City. I mean, look at Comedy Central. It's so female now.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. It is like night and day. I wish I was there for that, because, I mean, I wore the young male 1824 hat. I'm comfortable in that hat, but a woman 1824 would have been, I was that once.
Yes. But it went from it can't work at all to let's find the next one.
Right.
Let's find the next one.
Right. Yeah.
But you know who's producing stuff now so young is Pete Davidson is starting to produce specials.
Really?
And
Like
stuff
he's
like that.
like up and coming people? Like people-
up and coming people. Paul Verzi's next special, Paul just announced that Pete's going to do it. And I don't know whether he thought, all right, Pete, now that I'm sober, I got to find stuff to do to keep myself busy. But I'm like, well, this is brilliant, you know, because when Louis started doing it, that was considered kind of odd that he would produce shows that he wasn't front for, you know, because like people back then would be like, well, why would you want to be a producer when you could be a star? You know, but you just go across the board.
You
now.
have to cross the board, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's interesting about Pete. I didn't know. I mean, I heard.
Yeah, I just heard it the other day that he was going to do a Paul Verzi special.
Oh, that's great. That's exciting. I think he was at the Cellar last night, because when I saw Derek, I saw Pete at the Fox Showcase in LA probably about 4 years ago, and I was booking comics for Kimmel at the time. I was doing that. After Comedy Central, I had a couple of years where I produced the documentary about the Improv, and I started Comedy Gives Back, which is a comedy charity technology company. Check it out, everyone. I'll plug that now. And I saw him perform at the Fox Showcase at the Improv in LA, and he was 19. And I just I felt like everybody was going, I can make so much money on this kid. So,
Right, yeah.
Like, ching. I mean, it was a buzz. It was one of those moments where you knew some shit was going on for this guy. He was very funny, and that sort of youthful perspective, so finessed, so great.
Yeah.
And I booked him on Kimmel. I felt really good, even though Kimmel was very tough to book comics with, because he really was so specific, and he had never done really stand-up himself, but we got it through, and it was great set.
Well, Pete was one of those guys that he started early.
Yeah.
So even when he was like 19, he had 4 or 5 years
yeah.
in his pocket. But so the first time I saw him, I thought he was terrific, but I didn't think he was going to blow up as quickly as he did.
Yeah.
But that seems to be happening more and more all the time, right? That people, like, you'll see them and you're like, oh, this kid's heading somewhere. And then 6 months later, they seem fully formed.
You mean just their
everything?
development,
It seems like they've pushed 5 years into maturity sometimes into 6 months.
How do they do that? Because there's so much more like video to kind of mimic?
I think that there's a lot of that. I think that unlike, let's say, when you went to work the Improv in the 70s, you now have a lot of careers that you can look at. You know what I mean? You can look, like, I think if you went there then you thought, hey, do I want to be Johnny Carson or Mel Brooks? You know, which one?
There's
which
the
path?
prototypes.
Right. But now you can turn around and look at thousands of, you could make a comedy college for yourself with the amount of stuff that's on YouTube.
You can educate yourself at 13 just by rolling in and go like, oh yeah, that's my type, that's my cup of tea or whatever.
Where David Letterman, he's like, I think I feel funny. Where do they do comedy? LA. Okay, let me go out there and see what's going on. And he had to drive across the country, say goodbye to everybody and then go, all right, this looks like a place. Do you think they'll ever let me on here?
Yeah, there might be a microphone I could talk into.
Right. And I always laugh now when people are like, oh, I want to go to New York or LA. And I go, why don't you just
do it wherever you are?
Yeah, do wherever you are until you're so good that you can come in to town and blow people away.
And then you get to decide if you want to be the big fish or if you want to dive in.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's probably some great benefit to starting your own comedy scene and kind of
be the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah.
Well, I think also you come. I don't think LA is a good place to develop as a comic. It's too showy. It's too So here there's still good stage time. There's a lot of clubs. I think right. And Boston's always had. I mean, Boston had a great comedy scene. Louis,
absolutely.
And, they all came out of there, and San Francisco, and Chicago, obviously. Yeah. So
try to get it together a little bit before you
Well, they do. I think.
Yeah.
You know. When you were, it was a funny kind of scenario about Dave Letterman. I want to perform. I have to drive to one. He had to go to. When I interviewed Larry David for the Improv special, the documentary that was on Epix. He told the greatest story. I don't know if you've ever heard this story because I hadn't heard it. And it was in the special. We left it in. He went to the Improv in 1974 with his friends from Long Island. He jokes like, my parents were about to put their heads in the oven. I was a Jewish educated kid. I was driving cab. I had no career aspirations. I was a miserable human being as he is. And he goes to the Improv with his friends. It's Friday or Saturday night, sold out. I mean, it was one of the, as the Improv was getting popular. And he wouldn't say who was on stage, although I think he remembered. And he goes, I should be doing that. I want to be on there. I could do that better. Again, that's why he didn't say he was on stage. But he had this spark. And he got up out of his chair in the middle of a show and went out to the front where my dad was standing at the time. And he's like, hi, my name is Larry David, and I'd like to go on stage. And my dad's like, have you performed before? He's like, no. Well, we have this whole, then go sit the fuck down or whatever. It's like there's an audition process and blah, blah, blah. But I love that story because he had the spark and he goes, that's where I need to be. Like he saw it. And he said that I went over to Catch to get good or to get some stage time. And then I came back to the Improv. And he said when he met comics, he's like, I finally met people that were as terrible as me and miserable as me, and he found his people. I mean, he did, and I love those moments, whether it be performance or whatever, where you have that spark, and he got up in the middle of the show, went to go see how he can get on that night.
Well, what I still love about it, and this happens to me all the time, is that I'll be standing in the back watching somebody working, and it'll look to me like it was 1974 and the Improv. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, and I'll think to myself, I'm here, and this is where I wanted to be when I first saw things that look that. You know what I mean? Just being in New York City and being in that room still has that feeling of excitement and the laughter as art. It's still great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's pure. When people laugh and there's happening and we're all experiencing it together.
Yes.
That's
but here's the thing. That is in your DNA. I don't know how many people I could
Me
say.
and Pauly Shore.
Yes.
I've had a lot more therapy, I think.
Yeah, Pauly's, he's an interesting guy. But you're more able, I think, to see the big picture. But it's great to have you stop in. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your stories. And
I love comedy fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just can talk about it for forever.
Well, we got to do more stuff. We got to think of some stuff. I know you don't come back east much, right?
Well, I hope to try, but I was like, I'm going to call Ron.
Yes, but I will tell you now. There's every club here in New York would love to see you come in.
I'll try to do some pre-work before I go next.
We'll do that next time. Chris, we need to plug anything before we get out of here today.
For badges to the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, go to austintheater.org to purchase one. That'll get you into all of our events during the Moon Tower Comedy Festival.
Moon Tower Comedy Festival is going to be a blast.
April 19th to the 22nd.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Are you down for that?
I was going to be there. I was doing a show from there. We just decided to postpone it. A Blue Ribbon live 2-hour event we were going to do from there with all the comics called Yapple Dapple, where we strip the audio off of old cartoons and we have comics revoice it.
That sounds like fun.
So we're going to do it, but we just needed a little more prep time.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. All
right.
I know the dates.
No, that's great, though. All right. That's it for us. We'll see you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!